Right, let's get sorted out here. Right, sound's working, mic's working, camera's working, game's working, browser is working. Okay, we're good. So, very good evening to everybody. Happy Saturday. Or whatever you are, I'd say it's afternoon somewhere. It's always afternoon somewhere. So, I wasn't going to stream tonight, but I decided, you know what? I wanted to just do some stuff for a while. I've been doing editing all week, to be perfectly honest. I've been editing my Normandy trip for my other channel, so I've been mostly fixated on that. But, as you know from my last stream, I was sick, and I've been sick for a while. But I've finally gotten over it now, but my voice has been mostly gone all week, so I couldn't record anything for FF14 either, so I focused on my other one. So I have one more video to make for my Normandy trip, and then that's done for a while. So I won't be doing anything on that channel for then next month or two. But other than that, I just wanted to go over a number of different things in regards to FF14, in regards to lore, in regards to theory, and yeah, just general. I'd say this is a general discussion, so we'll discuss a number of topics that are coming up right now. I suppose I'll switch to in-game music right now because I miss Solution 9. I always love Solution 9's music. So, yeah, hello Saizo, Madam Butterfly, welcome and well met. So, I suppose I'll get warmed up as I usually do. So I suppose I'll do something just to get warmed up. I'd always like doing a dungeon to get warmed up. Yeah, I may as well do that. It's the best chance of actually getting a DPS insta-queue, which I didn't get, unfortunately. I'm still working on my weapon. it's not that I'm lazy. It's just that I just don't need my weapon. So I don't feel like investing in something I'm not going to use. That's my excuse. I don't even think I need my weapon. Well, still, anyway, we got an insta-queue, so I'm very out of shape. I always stand up just like, I don't know how to talk, and then it's like, okay. So, once I warm up, we can actually get started on talking about some actual stuff. FanFest is very close, so I'm looking forward to FanFest. Are any of you actually going to NA FanFest, or EU FanFest, or JP FanFest? Queue lad. The queue is a lie, and this won't let me take it because I'm in the queue. Yeah, I forgot about that. Howdy, Will. How's things? Labyrinth of the Ancients, of course. To be fair, I like Labyrinth. You know what? Let that be our first lore discussion, right? So, oh no space. So Labyrinth of the Ancients, from a lore perspective, as far as the story telling us, was pitched as a barrier of entry in order to get to the Crystal Tower. I don't believe that for a second. Why would you build this as a barrier of entry? I mean, it's a bit... Unless they wanted to watch people, like, try and die to actually get through the labyrinth. And I just realized that my hotkeys are actually not set correctly. I was playing Valheim earlier, so that's the reason. There we go. Okay. But yeah, I've never believed in this whole thing about Labyrinth of the Ancients being a barrier of entry and a trial. You have to go through it. Yeah, granted, we had to go through it in order to get to Circus Tower. So in that regard, it's correct. So from a modern standpoint, it's correct. I've always felt that the Labyrinth was one of the first, or one of the most ancient structures of the Allagan Empire. And I believe that it was once, and possibly still was, one of their earliest forms of renewable energy generation. So, think about all the lava that's flowing through there. We don't know where that's coming from, mind you. But I think it is the Labyrinth was originally a facility for accessing geothermal energy, because you have lots of heat there, you have water flowing all over the place, so you have everything needed for generation of energy. So maybe that's what they used for energy early in the Empire. It was there to filter out enemies trying to recircle that. That's correct. That's generally what it was. It was generally like, oh, you're trying to reach the tower, you have to go through this labyrinth first to enter it. So if somebody was trying to raid the tower, for example, when Xande was occupying it as his throne, don't forget he had the Imperial Palace at one point, but then he moved into the tower when he started going a bit doolally. So from that regard it would have worked, because the rebel factions that were propping up at this point would have had to go through the labyrinth first in order to get to him. So from that regard, yeah, I can believe that. I just thought it was an older complex to test Allagan, Chimera, and test out their manipulation generation, like a prelude to the Crystal Tower that is La. That's another valid use for it as well. I mean, it's full of void scent, it's full of undead. So undead generation. And that's another thing I actually disregard. What do we think this is? So what do we assume the Bone Dragon is? So let's discuss that for a second. I mean, granted, it's an undead dragon. So it's a dragon that was killed and reanimated. But is it a void scent? Was it a dragon corpse that a void scent occupied? So is this thing coming to life because, see this? Are multiple void scent occupying this corpse? So for example, it was already occupied by a void scent. We killed it. Another void scent jumped into it to occupy it. Now we're going to kill it again. So we kill it. The void scent inside is released. The corpse falls to the ground once more. And then a third void scent is going to come out and occupy it again until we run out of void scent. So up he gets again. You see the aura coming around? Void scent again, maybe? Like, it's either that or it's just some experiment in creating a creature that will, for example, just constantly revive itself. But I like to think void scent because the area is surrounded by void scent. And now they've run out of void scent. So, bye bye dragon. Alright, let's see if we turn into a disaster at this point now. The size of that scythe! Look at the size of that weapon. What does that look like on me? So, display, what's it? Drop. Oh Jesus, it's huge. Oh my god. Like, compensating huge. That's the Phantom War side, okay. What group am I in? Group C. Resealed in 15 seconds. I'm going forward, thank you. Battle 4. Yo. It's a test, like trying to get the right method to control dragons in the first brood. I can see that. We're cloning them all, making all manner of monstrosities, technological, who's more advanced, Allagans or Alexandria? That's actually something I want to discuss with you as well. Do you see a lot of parallels between Allagan technology and Electrope? So, I've been working on this recently. So, for example, the Allagan technology has energy circuits that run across it. So, remember tombstones, then they have these energy circuits that run across. You'd see it in some of the technology here, although this technology is significantly older. But you see it in a lot of their technology. That it has the circuits. And Electrope has circuits similar as well. Which made me think, is there a connection between the introduction of Electrope on the Ninth Reflection and the Allagan Empire? I'm not saying Allagan was responsible, I'm saying the Athians were responsible, which is the most likely theory. But maybe it stems from the Allagan Empire. But in terms of more advanced, it's hard to say because we have not gotten a full grasp of Allagan technology. I will say Allagan was more advanced, primarily because Electrope is a more technological means of them gaining supremacy. But chimerobiology essentially unlocked everything for the Allagan Empire. So they could create any creature they wanted. They could create buildings and structures that were unrivaled. Well, kind of. A lot of their structures survived thousands of years, so they definitely were good. But it's their ability to create life, which definitely puts them ahead from that standpoint. But we don't have a clear picture of what Allag looked like in its prime. So Amon is actually a great serpent of Ronka in a trench coat. Don't make me. We still don't have an answer about the serpent, to be honest. I'm raging at that. Is there actually an explanation of why there's a crystal tower on the source and on the first? It's the same tower or two different ones? Sizo, the tower that is on the first is from the future, the dark future where the 8th Rumble Calamity came to pass. So that future traveled back in time once they unlocked time travel, in order for Grahatia to save the first reflection and therefore prevent the 8th Rumble Calamity. So it's the story point of Shadowbringers. If you haven't read the side story, I'd highly recommend reading that. I've also done some videos on the Calamity and also time travel as well, if you're interested. I think Allagans used Electrope, but it was called something different for them. See, that's the thing. We don't really know the source of their technology. All that we know is that it's their technology, but we don't know the source behind it. So, for all we know, their technology was something similar to Electrope or completely different. It's possible that instead of using lightning aspected aether, maybe it used fire. It could have used different types of energy, you never know. Their tech wasn't, no, they were pretty technologically advanced by the time Omega came around. They did learn a bit from Omega, but not a lot. Like, they were still scratching the surface when it came to Omega, which was surprising to me, to be honest. What if the Allagan someone moved to another shard in case of 9th and power boosted the shard with tech? Well, that would have to happen, because don't forget the Calamity of Ice happened after the Calamity of Earth. So Allag was long gone at that point. That said, it's not outside the realm of possibility that the Milala, aka the Lalafels that occupied the South Sea Isles, didn't have access and bring Allagan technology with them. So plausibility is definitely there. I wish we knew how far along they were before Omega showed up. See, the thing is, the timeline we have to go by is pretty weird, because Omega chased Midgard-Stormer. Midgard-Stormer landed on Aetheris during the first Astral Era, or first Umbral Era, I'm not really sure. It's somewhere around the first or the second. Then Omega landed during Allag's era, so he landed like a long time, centuries after. God knows what he was doing. I'm going to assume he was drifting through space at that point. But yeah, we don't have a clear answer on that, and I don't think we're ever going to get a clear answer. The only ones who will give us a clear answer is Omega, if he even remembers anymore. Electrope is arcanism turned into a commodity. You're not far off. It's essentially their technological revolution. Their way of, like, okay, we discovered electricity, and we discovered the computer. Now everything just goes from there. It's the same way our civilization has evolved. Like, our civilization started to jump leaps and bounds once electricity was invented, and then sprang into overdrive once the computer was invented. Speaking of Electrope, what could be a cool job that uses it? Technomage? I mean, I pictured the fighters of the Arcadian, because they all utilize Electrope. So, like, Electrope is a good example of a unique kind of combatant who fully utilizes the Electrope to its full potential. Technomage, isn't that IT support? Yeah, guilty as charged, unfortunately. I'll probably start calling myself a Technomage now, do you know? There's 4 people not ready, what the hell? Oh Jesus, wait, oh, I thought he was doing his thing. Now he does his thing. Yeah, back up. Oh, don't do this. Come on, don't do this. Okay, we're good. We're good, we're good. I feel bad for Sprouts in here, do you know that? Because this fight is just breezed through. So they do this content and just go, this was like the easiest piece of content I've ever done in my entire life. Technomage uses debuff, slow updates, slow internet, never ending rebooting screens. Yeah. Downgrade you from a SSD to a HDD. Oh, there we go again. Oh Jesus, I'm gonna allow. No, come on! Every time. That wasn't my fault. I was on the platform. I was on the platform. I was not. That was not me. That was all them. Downgrade. It always, like, I think this is 3 times in a row I've been here and we failed that mechanic. I mean, granted, people fail this mechanic all the time, but to be fair, late last year, people failed the Allagan bomb. So, when's the last time somebody failed the Allagan bomb? I couldn't remember. As soon as they failed it, I'm like, what just happened? Would you all mind not being such greedy little punks? Arigato. Relax, just have time. And then when he moves, there you go. Come on, up you go, there you go. Oh, poor little thing. Delicious greed. It's not over yet. They might still greed. See, that's the thing. By the time you get to the second ancient flare, like, usually we kill them before the second flare these days. But he was so close to death, people just like, just kill him. Honestly, I think we're actually going to kill him before the second flare now. Nope, never mind. For the love of God, don't greed. Oh, don't do this to me! Okay. That was close. That was really, really close. See, that's the thing. We probably would have been fine if everybody greeted, but not everybody greeted. Like, for example, I didn't greet. The blue Aether well has been filled, or is getting filled. Thank you. My voice is still not 100%, so sorry about that. So, I suppose we can get started. So, what do I want to talk about first? See, the thing is, I can't really talk about 7.5 because we don't have any other extra information. We don't even have the special website. Oh, they announced this thing the other day. Okay. So, when's the next live letter? We are pleased to present the full digest. Oh, that's the digest. Okay, sorry. I thought it was the next live letter. Okay. No other information though about the next live letter. Sad face. Okay. I actually want to look at the forums because I want to see what people are talking about in lore on the forums these days. I haven't looked at the forums in a good while. Translate this page from French. La Français. English forum, thank you very much. Where's the lore forum? How do you like Solution 9 NPCs in the seasonal event? I actually, to talk about that, I like the fact that the Solution 9 NPCs have been traveling to Gridania for the last two events. So they traveled for Ladies' Day, and they traveled now for Hatching Tide, and I really enjoy that. Like, I like the fact that Electrope and her sisters are hanging out, just enjoying themselves, and yeah, healer, using a drone or a laptop or a device to heal someone. Mini drone lets act like shields. I mean, now granted, Solution 9 has laptops, so it's not Behemoth. There's no such thing as a dumb question. There's only dumb answers. And Sveen with Wukalamat in costumes. Wait, what? Sveen turned up? I didn't know that. Hang on. I did not see her there. I did not see Sveen and Wukalamat. Are you kidding me? Okay, interesting. So the Queen left her... Hang on. Sorry. Behemoth, I'll answer that question in a second once I find out if Sveen is actually here. I did not see her. I mean, I saw Honeybee, I saw Yana. Her sisters are over here. Is she hanging out somewhere? I just haven't seen her. Is she at the Aether round? Outside on the right. Oh. No way. What? Okay. The embassy here recommends we participate in the festivities since we're visiting as envoys, and I'm glad we did. Kona and Gululja are going to love these cute little legs. Okay. Wyrm, well, I did speak to you doors there. I hope that our nations may forge a deep lasting friendship, so I'm glad to have the opportunity to visit. Gridania is beautiful and everyone here is kind. In fact, I was gifted this outfit by a lady named Jahi. I have in mind to surprise everyone back home by returning in disguise. Okay, so that tells us something. One, it tells us that Alphino has already reported back to the Eorzean Alliance. He's given the full update. And it's also told us that the representatives of both Tural and Alexandria have been invited for more than likely a conference or an introductory sort of conference with the Eorzean Alliance. So the Eorzean Alliance has met with the leaders of these two nations. So is it possible that now in the next part of the next patch we're going to see a story or a bit of content in regards to renewal of ties, or new ties rather, to Terral and Alexandria, similar in the way that the Eorzean Alliance has a close tie with Doma. Why didn't I think of Doma already? Because Doma is not technically part of the Eorzean Alliance. They're an allied state. Because they're a member in all but name, essentially. They're a very close ally. So I could see Terral and Alexandria getting similar treatment. And I'm wondering now, is this also the stage for Garlamald to formally enter the stage as a newly born republic? So, is it possible now, aside from the fact that we're going to see these two actually interacting with the Eorzean Alliance, we're going to see a representative from Garlamald also interacting with the Eorzean Alliance? So, I look forward to that. So, back onto the question of Behemoth. I think Garlamald is there. I think it's important for them to actually get onto the world stage now, because it'll only help them rebuild by forming closer ties with other nations. To show the world that Garlamald is still there, but we're different and we're not what we were. We're not an empire anymore, we're a republic now. Behemoth, has traveling to a new world, Terral, ever been difficult at all? The answer is yes. Now, Katemram was the first one in recorded Eorzean history, mind you. So, just go back here real quick. So, Katemram was the first one in recorded Eorzean history to sail from Limsa Laminsa and found a proper route in order to get to Terral. And he ended up landing in Tuliolal and forming a friendship with Galul Jaja and so on. Now, after he came back, he disappeared. But the route was still enormously difficult, and the route seemed to be lost at that point. Now, the formal route that is used for trade between these two continents was established by Merlwyb. So Merlwyb recharted this course because it was lost with Katemram, essentially. And she was the one that formally introduced proper trade relations between these two continents, which is used today. And it's been used for years. Like, we see the numbers of Mamulja in Eorzea, they use that trade route, for example. So did they find a new route that is less dangerous? Essentially, yes. They found a route that went around the dangers in this area. So this is the equal of the, I can't remember what they call it, the Devil's something or other. She found a proper route that goes around that, because this was always the obstacle. So Katemram found this route originally, but it either changed or he never shared it properly. And then Merlwyb came onto the scene generations later and discovered the proper route. So that's the answer to that question. Okay, so no bother, Behemoth. I'm glad to answer questions like that. I like little things like that. But the fact that they're here, I'm still buzzing about this, to be honest. So the Elder Seedseer invited them. So I'm assuming they had the meeting in the Eorzean Alliance. And the Elder Seedseer probably stood up and said, before you go back to Terral, we're actually going to have an event called the Hatching Tide. Maybe you should come along. And maybe you should just get some costumes to hide your identities. It's become a very popular pastime for leaders of nations, in Eorzea especially, to hide their identities and mingle among the crowd. I mean, there's historical precedent for that, but we see Nanamo do it all the time, and we've seen others do it as well. But yeah, that's a good catch. I completely missed that. So, what's next? Oh, I was looking at the forum, that's right. So, I wanted to have a look at the forum here. I'm not listening to this music all day. I'll go back to S9. They could add the Moon Garlamald to the stage of the powers of the Shard. See, that's the thing. Garlamald holds the key to moon travel at the moment, because the tower is the only practical way of traveling to the moon other than with space travel. I mean, we can do it because of aetherites, but not everybody can use an aetherite. So, and you have to be attuned to it as well, of course. So, but that's more gameplay and less lore. But the tower is the only way for the layman to travel to the moon. So, because of that, Garlamald is a player on the world stage because they control the ability to travel to the stars. So that's a very important thing. So that's their entry to the world stage, as you said there. Now, God, my freaking throat is pissing me off. Okay, I wanted to look at something. Actually, no, I wanted to cancel the music real quick, and we're going to look at... I want to look at the lore forum to see what people are talking about at the moment. So that could be the new Garlamald. Yeah, essentially, that's the new Garlean Republic. Allowing people to use the tower. The tower is in their lands, of course. It was built with the sacrifices of the Allagan people. Of course, it does belong to them. I still haven't done the side quest or all the role quests. You should. It's really good. You learn a lot about Nerva, in particular for Garlamald. And you meet arguably the most beautiful Garlean I've ever met. Thumbs up if you agree that she's beautiful. If you know who I'm talking about. She is beautiful, I have to say. Where's the lore? Oh, there it is. Okay. 8.0 speculation. I'll go to that in a second. No, it's Nerva. Sorry. No, it's not Nero. It's Nerva. Yeah. No, he's beautiful too. No, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about... Hang on. What's her name again? Virgilia. Hang on. Go away. Go away with your ass. There you go. Yeah, there, Virgilia. I think she's the most beautiful Garlean I've ever seen, in my opinion. Speaking of Katemram, this man is gorgeous. You look at Katemram. To be fair, Katemram is very well designed. They put a lot of work into designing Katemram. But considering his impact on lore in FF14, I'm not surprised that they put a lot of effort into him. Drop the ball with... Oasis? Is that a translation error? Or... Who's Oasis? What the hell is Oasis? Oh, it's a zone in the Sea of Stars. Sorry. Okay. Oh, it's cosmic exploration. It's called... Okay, it's cosmic exploration. Okay, never mind. Jeez, there hasn't been very many threads, has there? Why is this thing translating in French?
Index.
Oh, go away. Hang on, let's have a look here. So, fix the stairs in Oh no, do I need to look at this? They have resources and more than enough time to do so. All parties involved are motivated to do so. It's a big problem. It needs to be resolved as soon as possible. Which was ages ago. It would have been both. What stairs is he on about? I'm frankly curious now. This song is Final Fantasy XI Heaven's Tower. So let me just type that in chat. FF11 Heaven's... Oh god. FF11 Heaven's Tower. Okay, Cosmo Uka, he said the stairs are broken, and he said that in the lore part. I mean, I have other places that are definitely broken, but I'm not going to put them in the lore chat. What stairs is he on about? Oh, he's talking about this, isn't he? Oh, sorry, I know, okay, that's what he's talking about, okay. He's talking about this thing, isn't he? Wait, no, that's not stairs. That's just the upper tiers. Hang on. What is he talking about exactly? Let me go back there. This should have been the goal as a side quest. In practical terms, major pairs early in the story may see other pairs run up a phantom staircase. They will get over it. It's not a huge spoiler. It's obviously good. Chances is actually occurring in minuscule. Wait, does he want stairs, or does he want to fix current stairs? I don't get it. Does he not like the fact that this zone is split in two because of his level differences? Oh, it comes up in the Pelu Pelu. Okay, okay, fair enough. I haven't done those. I'm assuming he wants... Oh, is this it? Oh, this is it, isn't it? There's the stairs up here. I think this is the stairs he's on about. Okay, okay, there we go. So the stairs are broken. To be fair, they could have made that they could have made this a see, that's the thing. When it comes to real world changes like that, you have to put it into the main story. Because if you put it as a side quest, and the way he's saying it, like, new players are not going to care if a player runs up a phantom staircase. I'd definitely care. If I saw a player running up a phantom staircase, I'd definitely be going, what the frick? But yeah, I can see what he's... I can tell what he's talking about, but yeah. Arcadian lore, 7.4 lore expansion, please. What's he mean by this? Okay. Oh, the van. Okay, okay. So before the story began. Okay. Hello, I finished the Arcadian quest line, and I really like the characters of the tier, and I really hope that we get all the champions' real names and a side story or encyclopedia yours somehow. Volume 4, I'm going to assume. That's going to be Dawn Trail. The writers decided some characters can have a real name revealed and the others don't, and I can understand for Black Cat, Wicked Thunder, Howling Blade, Root Bomber. That's a good point. Yeah, she makes a good point. Like, they had an opportunity to expand upon the lore, but to be fair, it's not too late. So, I mean, we still have other short stories to get, I think. We're not done with short stories yet, so there's definitely precedent. A Merchant's Tale discussion. I'm not going to click on that because I haven't done Merchant's Tale yet. Could it be possible for one person to produce 3... Huh? So I've been thinking, is it possible for someone to die so terribly that they produce 3 types of Ashkin from the same source? We know that beings in the setting can be divided into corporeal and incorporeal aether, with incorporeal aether further divided into 2 types, soul and... No, he's getting mixed up here. Corporeal and incorporeal, yeah, okay, I can see what he's talking about. It sounds like, do you know what this sounds like? It sounds like he was playing Kingdom Hearts 1, and he came up with this idea. That's what it sounds like to me. So it sounds like Heartless, Nobodies, and whatever the other one is. That sounds like a Kingdom Hearts thing that he come up with. Yeah. Okay, about that one. We'd also get into side quest types of the Arcadian, like the one with Themis Mehmed after Pandemonium. That's true. It's not too late to actually get a final one. I really like the fact that they added that. It's a nice little, just a bit of a goodbye to everybody. I believe 8.0 might be FF7 inspired. Okay, let's read this. I would like to start by saying that these are mostly theories and speculation based exclusively on my in-game MSQ. I would like to hear if anyone has any further points to contribute to my theory or to discredit it. At the end of 7.4, we get a clear indication that our next threat won't be a villain, but instead natural disaster. I elaborated on that in one of my early theory videos. We don't know exactly what, but Aether seems to be crying out. Correct. Of course, since this is Final Fantasy XIV, we're still going to need trials and a final boss for 8.0. So what could that be? Could you think of anyone or anything that would benefit from stopping us from saving the planet? Somebody wants the planet dead, I suppose. That's right, I'm talking about an evil corporation like Syndra. I don't think we're gonna get a. I don't think we're gonna get a Final Fantasy VII plot. I mean, it's possible. Although I think, if I recall correctly, World of Warcraft already did that years ago. I think they did something with Azeroth and mining ore or something inside the planet or something. I'm not really sure. Okay, Halmert is going to play a role of. It's going to play the role of Earth. Do you know the first thing I thought was as soon as she said that? Halmert's gonna get stabbed in the back. I'm sorry, I had to think that. That's all I was thinking about. She's like, alright, she's playing the role of Earth. Can we stab her in the back then? Can we do a Sephiroth on her, please? Okay, Halmert seems to be the only person who can hear the cries of the planet that we know about. Let's think about that for a second. Let's think about that for a moment, right? Just ignoring this for a second. Let's think about that. Why is it that Halmert can hear? The echoes. It's not the cries of the planet, technically. It's a voice, an echo left by the will of the star, essentially. So she's hearing something. But it sounds more like an elaboration of, like, she knows something's coming and she can kind of feel it. But essentially, they had to put it across in a dialogue for us to digest. So they came up with that. She's very competent with scrying and other magical phenomena. Yeah, that's... Matoya could actually get something across. I'd say Y'shtola would probably be one that would actually come across it as well. The Winters may play the role of Avalanche. I think they're going a bit far on this now, to be honest. I think they're going a bit down the rabbit hole with this. It's a bit too close to 7. I don't think that would work, but it does make me think about why Halmert could hear stuff or view stuff that we can't. Or is it just that we're not looking? So maybe we need to actually start looking before we'll actually know something's happening. So maybe the fact that we're going to meet Halmert in the next patch. She's going to tell us there's something wrong. That's going to lead us on an investigation. And then we're going to see the signs, which are probably going to reference signs that we saw years ago and stuff like that. Like, so, yeah, I can see where she's coming from in that regard. But her theory is a bit, it jumped the shark a bit with the 7 connection, I think. I mean, I like theories like that, but it jumps the shark a bit too much. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, but Ellison expanded naming conventions, unofficial and FF11 Elvan. Why is this so low? Okay, I set out to write this guide expecting it to be a simple set of existing groups, male names, female names. I've never really focused on the Ellison names, to be honest. I did a video years ago on the Makote names, but not the Ellison. And then I had that research. Thought it would be simple manner to match up existing names. Okay. Why is everything in French? I did not ask this thing to translate into bloody French. Whatever. To be fair, Ellison names are probably the simplest, to be honest. But, I made a spreadsheet documenting every single name's death in the entire game. Oh, God. Okay. Right, I need to sort something out with this bloody translation. It's driving me nuts now. What is translating this? Yeah, translate everything to English. Jeez. Okay. I made a spreadsheet documenting every single named death in the entire game. I'm frankly curious about this. Okay, let's have a look. Here's the rules of how this list has been put together. First of all, very simple thing. We're looking at the deaths of named characters. If they have a name and they confirmably cracked it, then they're on the list. Okay, let's have a look at this list, right? The dead list. I love the name, the dead list. Oh, this is interesting. I like this. Ooh. Okay. So, Edda, of course. Oh, they made a video. Ah, see, this is the thing. I live in my own bubble, and I don't watch videos about other. I don't watch other content creators' videos primarily because it would skew my thinking. So I'll read the list though. The list is really detailed. I have to give them props for this. It's really good. Okay, so character type, complicated but definitely important. That's one way to describe her. Okay, so non-MSQ dungeon, yeah, Tempt RD Croft, turns up and passes dead, but is clearly dead then. Yeah, she was revived with necromancy. Rotating, yep, died. We saw him in the itoscope, yeah, correct. Livia, same thing. Teleji got cut in 2. I wouldn't put him as a major villain, to be honest. Would I put him as a major villain? I probably wouldn't rank him as a major villain, to be honest. I mean, granted, he set up a lot of the stuff that actually did kick off the reason that we went on the run. So, yeah, maybe in that regard, we should call him a major villain. Jack's rider, Mad Snake. The royal reception, reviewing the Covenant Mizzenmast, dies in a flashback of Carton now, was apparently a character in 1.0, but nothing more than a name. I think I remember this guy. Okay. That's a similar one. Yeah, died during the Calamity. Yeah, a lot of characters were just written out, and it was just like the excuse was they died in the Calamity. That's partly why the Calamity was created. So it was to change the world in terms of design, but also to eliminate characters that in a bloated world that didn't need them. Hummingway. The Limion envoy guard. Oh, the spy that Nero kills in the 14 Ninjas intro scene. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about him. Okay. Into the Copper Hell, dead adventuring party member. Oh, I forgot they were names. Okay. So these adventurers are Ungust. I remember him. Ah, yeah, he got executed. He was in my video, the other guys. He was a minor villain, yeah. An asshole as well. Let's see. Major villain. Focus. Proof of Might. Villain of the Lancer storyline. I probably wouldn't put him as major villain though. Slashfoe. Oh, I remember Slashfoe. He briefly joined the Scions. Yeah, exactly. Then Una and Perseverance. If anybody doesn't remember these 3 characters, so I'll show you here, for example. They're put as, yeah, main story and basically just a name. I'd actually put them as neutral villains, to be honest. Primarily because these 3 characters were assholes. Like, I remember this quest. Like, see... Oh, it's not translated there. It's not translated there either. There we go. So, you see them... Like, this is a good example here. This screenshot. Jesus. There we go. So, they're rocking up. You'll tell us what you found and then leave this place. Your presence here is no longer required. Essentially just saying, okay, we'll take over from here. We'll take the credit. And they had a real smug look on their faces. These 3 people were assholes. I hated these characters. I really hated them. They came back in 2.0, of course. And then they got slaughtered in the... She doesn't say it here, actually. These 3 characters died in the... What do we call the event again? The Bloody Sands? No. The Attack on the Waking Sands. Yeah, so these 3 characters... Or Una, sorry. No, these 2 are gone in 1.0. Una was back, but Una died in the Attack on the Waking Sands. But these 3 characters were assholes. So I didn't like them at all. They essentially saw us as an upstart and wanted to take credit for our work. I didn't like them at all. This music is very loud. Ooh. Okay. Aww. She was an ally. What the fuck is that? Non-binary. Yeah, they don't really have a gender. Aww. Do you remember our friend? I swear to God, that scene still killed me where she gets kicked. It still hurts. Especially since the fact that yesterday I watched Project Hail Mary. It just makes this worse now, do you know that? Aww, Neuraxia. Poor thing. She didn't deserve that. She was with us for 5 minutes. We should have seen her in... She should have been in the Ethereal Sea waiting for us, you know that? Minor Villain, Heretic... I remember that one, yeah, okay. So this is a very good list. It's very detailed. The length of it, Jesus Christ. This is a huge list. This is only, yeah. So, Nail Darnus. It's not Nail Darnus, though. This is incorrect. Yeah, she was known under the alias of her brother, but this was Ula Darnus. So this needs to be changed to Ula Darnus. Because the person we killed wasn't Nail. Well, Nail... Yeah, Nail died a long time ago. But it's actually Ula Darnus. So they should have done Nail Darnus, aka Ula Darnus. Bahamut. Major Villain. Basically the only primal with personality and a death count. Yeah, that's true, to be fair. Moonbreeder. Oh, Moonbreeder. Poor thing. Nabriales. He's, yeah, good and gone. Thank God. Well, one version of him is gone at least. We don't know whether they recreated them fast enough or not, so. Louis Swap, yeah, he... more defined as a character 1.0, but still has a large footprint, yeah. Kukuruku. Oh yeah, she was the or he was the guy from the yeah. I am Nabriales. I hated his accent. He just sounds like an asshole. I am Nabriales. Especially since he was considered the warrior. Solus Galvus. Definitely didn't stay just a name. Wait, what do you mean? Oh, well, it's the Emperor. What do you mean basically just a name? He was a major villain. Well, yeah, in that form he did die. And then he comes back, of course, as Emetzelk. Well, as the Emperor again, but we all know it's Emetzelk. This was Emetzelk's first death as the Emperor. Xande. So Xande finally meets his end. Yep. Secondary villain. I'd call him, yeah, secondary is fine. Sahagan Priest. Malal Jaja. I'm still raging this never came up, do you know that? I really wanted this to come up because I know that their group came up. Like when you're walking around Toral, there's people who will say, "Oh, we're starting to get more visitors from Eorzea. We never saw that other Mamulja tribe come back," and we're like, "Yeah, they're not really coming back. We kind of slaughtered them." Sorry. Avery, yeah. Leavini. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. Technically died in all good things, but the body was absent because Edda took it. Yeah. Leavini, the girl who was raking the floor in the Waking Sands. So she died during the attack on the Waking Sands. She was buried at the Church of Saint Adama Lamdana, and then her body was taken by Edda. Wilred, yeah, we know that. Poor guy. He deserved better than that, to be honest. I mean, it's thanks to him we had some sort of inkling about what was going on, but he got killed off screen, which pisses me off. They should have put another category of ally in here, do you know? Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. Fine. Tristan. Yeah, I remember Tristan. Exploded in the summoner quest line. That's one way of putting it. Oh, Harshifant. Poor guy. Regular Hydrus. Regular went out like a boss, you know that? I mean, yeah, he was a Garlean, he was a bit of an asshole, but in the end, he did stand up with us. He stood there with us. So, by the end, he was a neutral, kind of, a neutral character with us. I'm really liking this list, you know that? La Hebrea, yeah, La Hebrea was... Big Wyrm was... Again. Archbishop Thornton. Yep, we remember him. Nidhogg. Yazael. Yeah, so Nidhogg died the first time and then lived on through his eyes, of course. The entire Heaven's Ward got iced out of existence. I enjoyed that. Quick thinks all thoughts. Oh, that poor guy. I always thought he was tragic, to be honest. And Frey as well was very tragic. Big angry worm. I really like his voice. I really like Nidhogg's voice actor. It's always really good. Ardbert. Yep. So don't forget. The 5 of these. Does everybody remember how they actually died? So put it in the comments there. Do you remember how Ardbert and his party actually died? It was a few years ago. It happened off screen. So if you remember. I remember. Zormar, you're close. You're close, but it's much worse than that. They didn't leave their bodies. They did not leave their bodies. Well, technically they left their bodies, but to leave their bodies, they had to die. And you know how they died? They didn't sacrifice themselves either. Ardbert killed them. They knew they had to travel across. They knew they had to die. So they left it to Ardbert to kill them. Let that sink in for a second. So they left it to the guy with the bravura to kill them. So that's how they crossed. But to be fair, like, considering how close they were, is that why his axe is in blood? I'd imagine so. That's why his axe is in blood, yeah. But this is how they freed themselves from their blessing. Because don't forget, they had crystals of light, so they had to die. Legitimately die. And that way, once they did, they were separated from their corporeal bodies, and then the Ascians essentially did their Ascian things and spirited them into the rift, and gave them, well, transported them over and gave them kind of doppelgangers to utilize. But yeah, that's how they died. Very tragic. And Limit never got to properly say that she loved. I always thought that was tragic. Limit always loved him, but she never got to say it. Well, I'd imagine, yeah, that's why Ardbert's axe is covered in blood, because he was the one that had to do the deed. It's never explained though how Ardbert killed himself though. I'm gonna assume he threw himself onto bravura. I'm assuming he probably planted bravura into the ground and threw himself onto it. I'm assuming that's how he put himself out of his own misery. Papalimo. I did a video on Papalimo. If you're ever interested in learning about Papalimo's life, I did a full video on him. Ilbert. One thing that's always questioning me about this. Ilbert's blade is still missing. So Ilbert had a very unique blade. I made a video on this as well. Ilbert is a sloppy boy in that regard, because the blade he actually utilized is an ancient relic, in that when you're holding it, it increases your stamina and makes you faster. So if you ever wondered why Ilbert was able to keep up with Raban when he was in a complete enraged state, and he was able to hop around like a mad thing. It's because of the blade he was holding. I think it was called Lion's Head is the name of the blade, but that's what allowed Ilbert to be such an agile little bastard during the bloody banquet. Ida, the real one, she died before that, so she should be up here. So Ida should be, like, her death was confirmed in Heaven's Ward, but she died around here. So that needs to be changed. Nybert Obdilord. I still wish to know which reflection he came from. Sorry. Speaking of bodies, I was recently thinking about Halmarut's proposition to Calix about molding him a vessel. Did she intend on taking someone's flesh and just replace their soul, mind with Calix? If yes, then Halmarut's stance about valuing other people is complicated. Not really sure. I think they have the ability of actually creating host bodies for themselves, because they did it for Ardbert and his party, for example. So they have the ability of doing that. They don't need to get bodies. The only reason Emmett Selk did it with the bodies of all the clones that he had, I think they can use corpses, but we've never seen them do that. We've seen Emmett Selk do it, but that, from Emmett Selk's point of view, Emmett Selk himself admitted it was just easier for him to inhabit those bodies because they were already linked to him. Asahi, yeah, exactly. Asahi's correct, yeah. So they can inhabit corpses. But we don't know whether that was a corpse or not. He was mainly just in the guise of Asahi, so we're not 100% on that. They never really confirmed that. Xenos, yeah, Xenos used corpses. We don't know about Arbert. We think they were doppelgangers. And he never had a corpse on the first. The Ascian of the 12th Chalice. Got in the Summoner's Quest. Yeah. Oh, GG. Wait, did GG fully die? I don't remember that. I thought GG came back. Or they did something, didn't they? Mefrid, yeah, poor guy. He died in the attack on Ralger's Reach. I remember that. Conrad, same. Yotsuyu died. Well, we know how she died. Asahi, yeah, little shit, got where he deserved. Gazer. Who's Gazer again? Adohar Hunt. Oh, okay. Jeez, these names are taking me back. Do you know that? No, Xenos hopped from corpse to corpse as well. That's how we got back to Garlamald. But yeah, Elizabeth occupies Xenos' corpse. Yeah, that's correct. So they do inhabit corpses. But Xenos did the same thing. Musa, I always felt bad about this one. This is probably one of my favorite job quest storylines. Musosai. Misosahi, sorry. It's Musosai. 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 Musosai is his name. Musosai. A little bit seems like being the corpse mecha pilot. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Begamnon. Oh, I really wish that it continued that story. Maps none. Yeah, I remember that. Poor guy. Titania. Yeah, she died, but her fairy form was brought back. And yeah, probably the most next to Horsevant, probably the most horrific death. Well, definitely the most horrific death I've ever seen in FF14. Do we all remember this death? I made a video on it as well if you're interested. The video's title, actually, I'd highly recommend you watch this, actually. Let me show you the video. I don't know if everybody's actually seen this before. I made it as a Halloween video a few years ago. Give me a sec. What's that lore? Where is it? 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 What the hell? Where is it? Hang on. Let me find it. Let me find her. There we go. Ah, yeah. A grim fate worse than death. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this video here. So I made this as a Halloween video. I'm a oh Jesus, dual hand. I'm not doing that. But yeah, this is a video I enjoy. But this video goes over the entire death cycle of somebody who gets killed by a why can't I remember their names? A Sin Eater. So Sin Eater has 5 stages of the metamorphosis, and it gets more and more gruesome every second. So I made an entire video
in the Ethereal Sea,
enduring in that regard. So if you're interested, you should watch that, because it's a pretty horrific death, to be honest. So yeah, we'll watch this for example, right? So we'll watch stage 1 for example.
Shortly after receiving this injury, they would enter stage 1, onset.
So this is if you get scratched.
This stage is marked by their body's weakened ability to regulate its own etheric flow, as their etheric balance starts to shift towards light, when it's normally in equilibrium with them all. Any wounds they suffer, including the original one, will take longer to heal, if they ever heal at all. The most notable symptoms of someone in stage 1 are with a change in behavior. They would lose focus during conversation, and being less responsive to queries or the goings-on of daily life. The person in question will look like they're daydreaming much of the time.
Yeah, so I highly recommend you watch this video, because it's probably one of my favorites for making. Yeah, so watch that. It's a grim fate worse than any other in FF14, and it definitely bloody is. So, Tesleen. Vothri, of course. He was such a weird character. I mean, he was disgusting, of course, eating Sin Eaters. But the fact that he was engineered from birth by Emmet Selk was kind of funny. I really wish we learned more about Ranjit's tribe. I did actually, now that I mentioned this, Ranjit was actually a speculative type of job that we might end up wielding, because of the unique creature that he's able to wield. So it's kind of like an assassin art that he brought with him from a nation that no longer exists, essentially. But that's why Ranjit was so powerful, because he was able to summon this creature. But essentially what Ranjit did, right, if you've ever wondered why Ranjit was so epically powerful that could even overpower us, essentially he was cultivating his own power for decades. So essentially he was pouring blood and etheric energy into his summoned creature. So he was funneling this blood and energy into this creature on a daily basis for decades. So this creature was then empowering him. And what that meant was Ranjit was a superhuman of massive power by the time we met him. But that energy wasn't unlimited. So he'd expel this energy whenever he was in combat, which is why he could only get weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. So that's why he tried to avoid fighting when he could, which is in the end why we ended up killing him. So Emmet Selk, of course. Let's go back to the music. That's true. His voice actor was actually very good, and he was like, "Can't you fools do anything right?" He had a very memorable voice actor, and it made the part, because if it had been like more immature or something like that, I don't think it would have worked. But it had the right amount of maturity and the right amount of immaturity. So Elidibus, Varus Galvus, yep, he died there. and was technically brought back. Melinda. Grandson's deceased fiance in the tank. Oh, sorry, I didn't do that. Okay. Tadric. Oh, wait, what? Hang on. Oh, okay. I was thinking of Tarek. Sorry, or Tadric. Oh, there's another Tadric in the game. Metron. Yeah, he's dead. Anog is gone, unfortunately, yeah. Yes, we need Drakengard lore to confirm this, but it's a pretty short yes for what it's worth. Anog is inconclusive. I'd agree with that. I'd definitely agree with that. Aggie? Who's Aggie again? Oh, Delabrum region. Oh, geez, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, all of these people died in the Delabrum region, eh? So, which ended with, Misaja. Noah Gabranth, yeah, he died in the boss shit as well. Valens Varro got smushed. Melisandre, Ruby Weapons Pilot, yeah. Rickon, Rex, Alphonse, Albedo, Arbello. Oh, how did we manage to kill Metron without Orsight? I think it was due to the nature of how he was fused and unfused. So I think his Aether just pretty much dispersed, but I think that's the reason that he ended up dying. So I think you can technically call his fate possibly unknown, but I think that version of him died because he was a Sundered Ascian, don't forget. If the other Ascians weren't there to recreate him, he wouldn't come back. So that version of Metron is dead. Saldivar Soranius. Oh, I remember this guy. I always liked this guy. I like that guy. Licinia. Yeah, Quintus, of course. Guardian Orphan would rather die than get her help. Oh, God. Poor girl. This really hit. This one hurt me. Does anybody remember this when the two girls were just so afraid of us that they'd rather die in the snow than accept help from us because they thought we were savages? Hytlodeus. Yeah, because he got released and then his soul entered the Ethereal Sea at that point. Fandaniel Le Mans sacrificed himself. Ainwa. Beyond the Depths of Despair. Menwa. Bana. Heidelin. Yeah, unfortunately. Ah, mommy, we miss you. And then we finally killed Xenos. Cagliazzo, Rubicante, Hesperos. Yep, of course. You're missing somebody here. Where is she? You're missing, Barbarita? Yeah, you're missing Barbarita. Well, she... I don't know. Yeah, she's... No, she... We could technically call her dead because she's trapped inside Memoriat. There's no way out of that. You think. Adagist. Wasn't in control, just couldn't be called any level of villain. Yeah, true. Yeah, so remember the Memoriat crystals? It's the same one that Zeromus is frozen in and we gave that crystal to Reen. They kind of just dumped it on her and then we just forgot about it. We don't really know what happened to that. But as far as we're aware, there's no way of getting them out of the Memoriat. So we just call them dead. They're just batteries now. Byragot, Ralgar, Azema, Nalthal, Nopika, Althik, Nemia, Halone, Malfinia, Thalek, Limlane. Of course, Gleipnir. Gleipnir? Oh, okay, I remember that one. I wish we would come back to that Zero Crystal. I have a feeling we will when it comes to restoring etheric balance on the first, because that's why they gave it the crystal in the first place, because Zeromus is pure darkness aspect of Aether. So introducing that Aether in a proper way to the first would help restore balance even more to the first. Chariot, Everett, the Indigo Mage. Oh, I remember the Indigo Matriarch. That's part of the role quest. Yeah, I remember that. Speaker Doe, Kisei. Nerva. I like the fact that she didn't include Titus, because we still don't know whether Titus is alive or not. The new dungeon establishes that they can break something out of a memorial by hitting it with enough light aether. That's where the last boss comes from. Oh! I did not know that. So you hit it with enough light aether. So where would we get a nice blast of light aether from? I mean, granted. Well, we actually do have an ability to do that. Do you remember when we channeled aether from... Or we channeled aether from the wave? We used those resonators to draw the aether out. I suppose we could actually do that, and just, if we focus it on a Memoriate crystal, it would break the crystal. But we wouldn't want to do that with Zeromus. We need him to stay in the Memoriate crystal. There's other people we want to break out. The original Golbez, for example. Bishop Varnox, Vardu, Nerva, okay, Rulus, Orcus. Yeah, these are part of the job role quest, yeah. And Dawn Trail, like, who do we have in Dawn Trail? Yeah, I remember him. Friend of Wookalamets. Okay. Kulul Jaja. Xander the Snake Skinner. It's a nice name. Otis. Ambrose. Zoralja. Kakiwa. Robor. Alayla. Endless Fiend. Zelenia. Geode. Poor Geode. He deserved so much better than this, you know that? He deserves such a better fate than this. The Arcadian President, yeah, of course. Innocent Star. Okay, that's okay. Dark Hortor and Urinu. Ooh. Wait, what? What the hell is this one? Post game, a spellbinding read. Oh, this is part of a short story. Yeah, to be fair, she doesn't really know who he is, though. She never met him. There was a second Endless Fiend. We don't know exactly what she was. She was kind of like a simulacrum. So she wasn't really Sphene. She was just pretending to be Sphene. She was an Electrope creation, essentially. Right, so that's it for that list. I really like that list now, to be honest. It's an interesting list. I'm gonna keep a hold of that list now for a while, because that's interesting. She was just an AI puppet. Yeah, she was ChatGPT rendered in holographic form, essentially. Right, is there anything else on this here that we wanted to go through? Limited jobs feel like wasted potential. Yeah, we all know this now, to be honest. First was AI, second was backup AI, third was thing, right? What's the 8.0 speculation? Let's have a look here. Oh geez, it only started with 2 lines. So I've been wondering what 8.0 will become. I've seen posts that we might have a lot of FF base like 7, 6 and so on, but is it possible that 8.0 might be an original story with a couple of sprinkles of retro FF games that might be related to the 8.0 storyline? What do you guys think? See, the thing is with Final Fantasy, right? They try not to make FF14 overly reliant on the series. So that's why they try to put a particular emphasis on 14 being its own standalone. It has its own number, so it is its own standalone. But they try to be as careful as possible to avoid overloading 14 with too many references to storylines. So they include references to stories, items, events and stuff like that. But they don't directly include stuff like that. Like, the most they do are events, like when lightning returns, for example. But in that regard, now Zormar, I can understand your comment in that regard, wishing for less references because you don't understand what the references are. But I'd highly recommend you try playing one of the Final Fantasy games at some point. Do you know what? I'd recommend starting with 12. 12 is a great one to start with. It's easy to access as well. You can get access to it through Steam, I think, as well. It's a great game to start with, and it teaches you not only about one of the Final Fantasy games, but it teaches you about the Ivalice universe, which fills in a lot of gaps for you in FF14 and the Final Fantasy overall, because Final Fantasy, a lot of the games of Final Fantasy revolve around the Ivalice series. Yeah. Trust me, I know all about it. I have a list of like 20 games that I should be playing, and I just haven't had a chance to play them. Like, my friends keep telling me to play Nier, and I just haven't had a chance to play Nier. And then there's other games I'm supposed to be playing, but I still haven't played them. I mean, we have to be traveling to at least one other shard at 8.0, right? Otherwise, no point in focusing on the portal key so much. As far as we're aware, we're traveling to a shard. If we're not traveling to a shard, we're traveling to another planet. So, maybe. Perhaps. I think actually, do you know what? I think Pim is actually a member of the Fan Events Discord. You know that? Because we have a person named Pim-san in the Fan Events Discord. Right, so they're going through a lot of different things here. Hate to double post, so this is important stuff. Live letters, dropped hints. Yeah, so they're dropped hints about the stuff and all. So let's go to the latest one to see what they're talking about. So, let's see. Well, that kills that idea. Okay. You need the whole NPC to explain to the bosses. Yeah, so these guys again are trying to bring the stories of the series into Final Fantasy XIV, which, as I said, doesn't really work. I mean, I get the need of wanting to. There's the guide. I get wanting to do that, but it just makes things messy. I started last year on February to play through all Final Fantasy games. I'm now 500 hours in and started 2 weeks ago on Final Fantasy 13. That's a wild journey. That's an amazing journey, to be honest. Fair play to you, Saizo. Right, I'm going to ask you, which is your favourite Final Fantasy then, which you played? I'm hoping you're going to say the one I'm hoping you're going to say. But I'm not going to say it until you say it. Come on, say it. Come on. You know what? You know you want to say my number. Come on, say my number. Say my number. Right. What else? Do I dare look at Reddit? I hate looking at Reddit. I hate Reddit, to be perfectly honest. And anything other than Final Fantasy VIII is the wrong answer. Doulahan had the right answer. Final Fantasy VIII is. Mwah! Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite. Absolutely. Do I risk Reddit? I haven't been on Reddit in a long time, to be perfectly honest. I try to avoid Reddit like the plague, to be perfectly honest. Alright, let's try it. FF14 is my favorite, of course. 10 is played. 2 and 6 the third. You liked 6? Nice. You use Reddit only to post glams. That's fair. Actually, do you know what? There was a when I remember being on Reddit years ago, there was, maybe I'm still a member of it. Yeah, this one here, the FF14 discussion one. So this is just discussions. You can't post anything, I don't think. Aside from promotions and stuff, but these people talk about stuff. So I think they tried to heavily moderate this one, but I think the discussions end up being semi-stable, I think. I haven't been on this in a long time, though, to be honest. What would be the catch with Crossworld Party Finder? I installed a cheat onto my friend's launcher, and I'm happy I did. Oh, Jesus Christ. 2 weeks after PvPers submitted various evidence of GMs and the series are obvious hacker in PvP, they're still playing. I'm interested in this. Let's have a look at this. So those unable to see what is happening, the dancer is using an animation hack so that they can move with the dancer alt. This particular service account is shared by 2 players. The hacker in question knew the service accounts they used to hack. That's interesting. But to be fair, FF14's PvP scene, especially the ranked PvP scene, is full of either hacks or win sharing. Win sharing was the primary reason I never got into PvP in the first place. When I saw people actively win sharing, I said, you know what, screw this, I'm not even touching it. Reddit moderation is like the first. A blinding wave of stasis that kills all life. Yeah, I'd agree with that. To be fair, I don't like Reddit. This is the first time I've been on Reddit in like a year or two, I think. So I don't use it. Life is better without Reddit. Let me tell you that. Why does this blue AI think? Would you like the next expansion to be set in Ivalice? Get the royal city of Robin Asher as main town. Roar D.R to open at the High Seraph. More Vieira lore. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, imagine an Evolution expansion. So rather than just getting a Alliance Raid series based on Ivalice, what if we got an expansion based on Ivalice? So what if we return to Ivalice, because there is lands on Ivalice that we have not explored yet. So there's numerous parts of what you'd call Ivalice in FF14 today that we haven't explored. Parts of Dalmasca haven't been explored. We haven't explored here. We haven't explored Naxia. And we haven't explored the Gap. Ivalice experience will also be Garlamald expansion, yeah? Yeah, I'd say yeah. Is the climate enough to make it feel like an expansion? I posted a wild theory some weeks ago on Reddit. Yeah, I suppose, like, is the climate enough to make it feel like... I'd say that it would feel more like, if you played 12, it would kind of feel like that, I think. So a lot of deserts, a lot of harsh climates. But I suppose they could do this, and they could include the Blind Frost up here as well, and possibly other parts that we haven't visited, maybe up here. So let's continue with this. So yeah, I like that theory. I like that idea. A discussion about horizontal job design. Oh jeez, I'm not getting into this. Okay, fine. Alright, I'll click on it once. As the dawn of the next expansion keeps closer and closer, I've started thinking back to comments that Yoshi P discussed early on this expansion about the future job development. Essentially that it comes to get more and more difficult to balance meaningful additions or changes with trying to add new things that make players excited, or just the difficulty of needing to add new things to jobs that largely feel complete. I mean, it's a valid argument, primarily because we have so many jobs, they are starting to feel the same as each other. So, Corvus at 8.0 is... I definitely like that. They could put that into Ivalice as well, to be honest. Oh yeah, they were missing that from the deaths in FF14. This job... Oh Jesus, Duelhan. Stop blaming me. Away with you. Enough of your vile. Now, criticism of job design, like Duelhan just said, is ancient news at this point, and so it's easy for someone who wants to see change read comments like that and project solutions they believe address the issues they see within job design. We see how easily some players get carried away with Yoshi P's more ambiguous claims. Now, to be fair, Yoshi P claims a lot of things. Not all of it comes true, so you have to take what he says with a grain of salt. So I think it's important to be realistic with our expectations, but it's not wrong that you can't keep adding jobs forever. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Eventually, you either need to stop or change things, which is why people are wanting job upgrades. So they want our jobs to evolve to the next level, which has a lot of precedent in Final Fantasy. So they want the Paladin to elevate to the next level. You could call it whatever you want. But regardless of what it is, or realistic given the nature of the game's development team, I can't help but wonder what kind of systems could work within FF14's design paradigm in the first place. I also think back to the job action trailers and the differences in how Heaven's Ward trailers felt when it released versus Dawn Trails. Yeah, to be fair, I looked at them when I was doing my theory videos. The Heaven's Ward one, all the jobs stand out. The Dawn Trail one, in the Dawn Trail job trailer, there was just so many jobs, my eyes just glazed over. So I'm looking at all these jobs, and the jobs just blazed together because there was too freaking many of them. And I forgot what I was looking at after a while. Paladin, High Paladin. Well, stop doing drugs then, Zormer. Dom Paladin, bottom Paladin. Let's see. The later is pretty and had nice music, but didn't generate that excitement or marvel. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Not just getting excited for the hype music and the trader's production quality. I'm alone thinking these things. You're not alone in thinking these things. Templar Knight is it? That's a good one, yeah. What do people want to see from 8.0 in a combat rework? Unique job gauges. We already have them. Each job needs a unique path to power. We already have that. Add skill trees to unlock stats and abilities. No, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do this because if you were around in 2.0, you'll know that our jobs had a lot more customization in terms of stats and stuff like that. They took all of that away. They wanted to make everything a lot more simplistic. So they're not going to add skill trees, I don't think. The only way they'd add skill trees is if they added the ability back to the game of jobs being able to use abilities from other jobs. So in 2.0, for example, right, if you were a tank, so say for example I started as warrior with my tank, but I had to level, in order for me to actually level my job properly, I had to level warrior to a particular level, and then I had to level gladiator, or I had to level in order to unlock warrior, for example, I had to level marauder to like level 30, and then level gladiator to level 15. But that wasn't the only reason. I had to level gladiator, or everybody had to level gladiator to a certain point, because only gladiators had access to provoke. So if you didn't level your gladiator at all in order to unlock provoke, you're doing something wrong. So I missed that sort of thing, to be honest, but they felt that sort of system was redundant and they removed it. So that's similar to this. Balance the jobs within the magical range role. Are they not balanced? I mean, granted, Picto has a lot of burst. Black Mage, easy to learn, difficult to master, but when you master it, you definitely master it. Red Mage is kind of, they get the short end of the stick, and Summoners are just they used to be just mash the keys. I thought they were actually in a good place, although I haven't been raiding in a long time, so. My dream is something special animations to like Warlock and WoW, where you can unlock a special quest line or something like that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Do you remember? Do you remember? Sorry, I need to get a drink of water. Felt like having something bubbly instead. You never played WoW, you never played WoW. So, yeah, the moment you said Warlock and unlocking special quest lines, Warlocks and Paladins, to unlock their second mount, for example, you had to go through a massive quest line of jumping through dungeons, getting items and stuff like that. It pissed me off with how hard it was, and I loved every minute of it. But yeah, they don't make us do tasks like that anymore, unfortunately. I wish they did. I mean, our relics in 2.0, our Zodiac relic used to be a massive chore, and people enjoyed it. Like, they had to work their asses off to get their relics. Nowadays, the relic is just farm. The hell? The hell? Hello? Okay. I lost the page. Ugh. Oh, where's my history? Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let's continue here. So, balance the jobs in the magical range roll. Okay. Remove combat res because there are too many down to balance the fight design around them. I mean, let's think about that for a second. There was a time when it was different. Was it? Was it 2.0? Or 2.1 or 2.2 when they changed it? There was a point where it... Wasn't it? Wasn't combat res different at the beginning? I think it was. God, I can't remember. Barry reckon you needed tea. Yeah, I was gonna get tea. I just decided to get a Coke instead. I need something bubbly on my throat. Anyway, let's continue. So, character creator. More customization options. Jeez, we have enough of them already. Sliders for the face and part of the body. With major graphic overhauls, yeah. Skin tone customization. Oh, Jesus Christ. Longer hairstyle options. Yeah, these are just gripes, essentially. Index more towards casual audience. The whole game is indexed towards casual audience. What are you on about? Savage item level is something the casual players can achieve in the X1 patch. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I'm done. I'm done reading that. I'm done reading that. I'm done reading Reddit, to be honest. I'm sick of Reddit now, do you know? I hate Reddit. Yeah, rage bait thread. Yeah, it just sounded like he was pissing and moaning there at that point. I recognize an artist at work. Oh yeah, I can know exactly what kind of character you are now. But yeah, take the piss out of me all you want. I'll take it. Man, I want more monk animation upgrades so much. What's wrong with the monk? What's wrong with their animations? I mean, they move kind of fast, but I didn't think there was anything wrong with the monk, was there? I mean, granted, my monk's like 62, so I haven't really done anything with it. They lack a bit of punch. You're gonna have to elaborate on that, unless you're just trying to take the piss out of me again. In your opinion, they lack a bit of punch. Well, to be fair, monks are not all about punching. Monks are about the use of chakra as energy in order to use, like, martial arts based around kind of chakra etheric energy or something or other. So they weren't all about punching. I mean, they're not boxers. I mean, they do have punches. I mean, every martial art has punches, but if you look at Shaolin monks, for example, they use a lot of kicks. They could use some weapons on their feet because they kick so much. Steel tip boots would definitely do something with that. I just don't feel the impact in comparison to Reaper or Sam. To be fair, it's harder to get an impact with a class that is primarily around punch, kick, kick. So, in that regard, yeah, it's primarily because those jobs have weapons. So they're easier to identify with because they have weapons. I mean, when you see a samurai just dancing around the place, like, you can easily identify with a samurai and what they're doing. With a monk, it's harder. So in that regard, yeah, I can agree with that. Oh, somebody's here exploring it for the first time, are they? No? Hello. Kui. Are you here to tell me about your Lord and Savior? Okay, he hit me with the equivalent of a dap. Bye. Does anybody ever notice this? I get this a lot because I'm a very friendly person when it comes to the people I meet, but a lot of people will play in a vacuum. And then when you suddenly approach them and you start being social, they get very awkward. So They'll stand and just, oh my god, somebody's actually interacting with me in an FF14. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm a social animal. I mean, granted, I'm a loner, but I'm also a social animal. So, when it comes to gaming, I'm very social. When it comes to my personal life, I'm a loner. But, yeah, people in here, like, they just tend to be like, oh my god, somebody's interacting with me. What do I do? Like, nobody's ever talked to me like this before. What do I do? Because nobody ever really talks to anybody anymore. Why did I teleport to Limsa? Why am I here? People are often worried you have a motive if you come to talk to them. I just noticed you're on Phoenix as well. Yeah. I am a Phoenix boy for a very long time. People are often worried you have a motive when you come to talk to them. I mean, to be fair, we think that in real life as well. So maybe that's where it stems from. Like somebody just coming out of nowhere and talking to you. I could see why they think you'd have a motive, yeah. I mean, yeah, I can understand that. It depends on the Limsa person, yeah. To be fair, I've watched people use mods here, so I've seen through their screens. This place, actually, when you turn on those mods and you look at this place looks completely different. So you start seeing, some shit. Let me just put it that way. When you use those mods in Limsa Liminsa, you start seeing some shit. That said, I used to be on Balmung, so yes, everyone did have a dirty motive. Dualhan, that's not true about Balmung. I'll be honest. When I started in 1.0, I started on Balmung. So Balmung wasn't the server it was in 1.0. It took on that identity afterwards, primarily because a lot of people who occupied forums like I occupied started on Balmung as well. They all wanted to be together. That's how Balmung's community started, because the community was already tight-knit because of the fan forums around FF14 before 1.0 launched. That's how Balmung got its start and kicked into high gear. Yeah, I kind of want to get out of here because I don't know what these people are doing. Where do I want to go? Oh, I want to go anywhere but here. Mare Laboratory, yeah. I haven't been to the moon in a while. You know, I haven't checked the moon for 7.4. Let's see what the story is on the moon. Is there any changes on the moon, you know? I'll bring my Spriggan out. Also, the gender race, this is real. I main a male Rogadin. Almost no stranger danger whispers on my female alto. Lunatic, no offense, but I don't want to know. I mean, granted, this is not a family-friendly stream, but I really don't want to know. Watcher, will your dialogue change, please? Your dialogue's been the same since, like, freaking 6.0. Let's go check on the, rabbits, see what the story is with that. His dialogue no changes is kind of lore appropriate. It's lore appropriate to the main story. It's not appropriate to the fact that we did the alliance raids. But they're never reflected in real words anyway, so. Actually, that's a good point. Can we still access that place? Can we still access the Omphalos? I don't think I've ever tried to access the Omphalos since the 12-bit Debuka. Huh. Let's actually just try that. Yeah. I don't think I've been there since I haven't. We can. Okay, good. So it didn't disappear, but I'm assuming from a lore perspective, one day it will just go bye-bye. You are making Q poses there. Do you want to elaborate on that, Sormar? Not that I'm prying or anything else. Wait, where is it? Down here? Why, where is it? Oh, it's over here. Oh. Why did I miss it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. It's just hiding here. Okay. Okay. I haven't listened to the music here in a while. It's very loud here. Oh, I miss this place. I always enjoyed coming here for the patches. This is still my favorite alliance raid, in my opinion. What has what's our friend been up to lately? We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him since 6.5, right? I know we got a short story about him, right? He's still wandering around somewhere. I was wondering if this was incidents, and yeah, it's incidents, I think, yeah. I do like that. Little lady. He showed up for Little Lady's Day, did he? How do I keep missing these people? Oh, I did not know that. Okay, so he was last spotted wandering around Eorzea doing his thing. Okay. Maybe one day he'll show up again. Well, to be fair, they had a reason to give up their lives. They wanted to... Like, they've been repositories of faith and Aether for a long time. They wanted to give that Aether back. But maybe... Let's think about that for a second. What if this story is actually tying into what's wrong with the star? What if they restored all that Aether back to the star because they sensed in Hydaelyn's wake they needed to do that? Maybe this is actually going to tie into that. I mean, it's rare for the Alliance Raid story to tie into the main story. But it kind of went backwards when we did it. But think about that for a second. That's interesting, isn't it? Because the last thing we had to do in regards to the star itself was helping the 12 to end their existence and allow their energy to return to the star. They gave it back to the star. Maybe the star needed that in the wake of Hydaelyn. I've always liked this as well. The fact that we can see Carton now from here is really cool. Yeah, it would make their deaths make more sense, yeah. But does that mean that our friend is going to go at some point? Because they did say, you don't have to go with us yet. Emphasis on the yet, but one day he might have to. Maybe he will disappear at some point. So maybe it'll tie into his return to the story. So they might make, maybe for 8.0, they might make this Alliance Raid mandatory to the story. Same way they did Crystal Tower for Shadowbringers. And the characters will tie in. Yeah, but the thing is, don't forget, like, when the 12 were around and they were still occupying this plane of existence, with people praying to them, they were getting reserves of Aether. So even if he gave up his Aether, he's still a member of the 12, so people in Eorzea may still pray to him. Like they pray to their other gods still. The prayers are just not really going anywhere nowadays. But they might still be going to him, so he's still charging up, if you get my drift. So maybe he will gain more Aether that way and then return to the star. Maybe he'll be our link to actually figuring out what's going on with the star. I was looking for the Crystal Tower. It's over there. Oscar was worshipped by that city was wiped out in the Calamity. Scoralor place, right? You can't have that many worshippers left. To be fair, the 12 are like, most people will have a daisy, but by default, what are people's religious greeting. So, by the 12, thank the 12, blessings of the 12 be upon you. That could be considered faith in the 12 as a whole. So, he's still getting it by default as a member of the 12. Alright, I think we're done here. Where do I want to head now? I think this celestial instrument in the sky is converting Oshkon's prayers as well, though. You think? Oh, let's think about that for a second. Is it possible this has something to do with the upcoming story? I mean, let's look at it for a second. It kind of looks like an element. We don't really know exactly what these things are. So it has a nucleus. It kind of looks like a constellation, essentially. I mean, I would have said it was Aetheris. Oh, hang on a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on there a moment. How many planets are there? Wait, count the planets with me for a second. Oh, shit, I have to wait for this thing to get out of my way. 1. So we have the core here. Aetheris. 1, 2. Shit, I can't count it. 1. Ugh. I wish there was a way. Well, there is a way for me to get up there. 1, 2, 3. And maybe the void is not included. 1, 2, 3. Void is void. What about the other ones? 1, 2, 3. Could that be it? Could this be a model of... Could this be a model of the source and its reflections? Where's my bloody map of it? I'm trying to find my map of it. There it is. Let's see. No. No, there's not enough. Or is there? Jesus, I can't think it. Let me find. Hang on. I need to find my picture. Where's my picture? I can never remember how many reflections exactly were left. I thought it was 4, including the void. Where's my created illustrations? There, okay. So 4th, 8th, 9th, 11th. What? Am I wrong? Am I? Wait, what? Oh, Tatara showed us, did she? Wait, did she? Oh. Oh God. Why am I going mad? How many reflections are left? I'm going nuts. Hang on. Jeez, how do I keep forgetting this? Ugh. Yeah. These wiki websites keep getting worse and worse, you know that? Ugh. Yeah, there's still other ones. Like, aside from the ones we've explored, the 1st, the 9th, the 13th, there's also the 4th, the 8th, and the 11th. Yeah, I knew I was right. I don't know why I was thinking I was wrong. Yeah. Yeah, so that doesn't make sense. So unless this is a map of our solar system. See, that's the... No, the source is in the middle. But what if that's not the source? What if that's Aetheris? And these 3 are planets in our solar system? Because it looks like a solar system map. And the reflections have never been depicted as a solar system map. So, what if we say these 3 are planets in the solar system? So what if this is a map of our solar system? In that we have, well, no, so yeah, so that's a map of the solar system, right? So the Sun, Aetheris, and 2 other planets. So aside from Aetheris, there's 2 other planets in the solar system. These are just showing the same thing. That's a good question though. It makes me just think, like, did they do this just from a design aspect to make it look cool? Because it does make it look a lot better when you have 2 of them like this. But they are depicting the same thing as this one. But yeah, it makes me think that this is a map of the active solar system. So Sun, Aetheris, Planet 1, Planet 2. So there's two other planets in our solar system. Because to be fair, we've never really explored our solar system. Aside from going to the moon. And Cosmic Exploration explored other planets, but it's never really explicitly stated where those planets are, is it? Yeah. Cosmic Exploration. Oh, you stupid website. First detected within the sights of the telescope, this mineral-rich planet lies 5.5 carats from Aetheris' star system. Okay, so it lies... Okay, so Oasis lies outside our solar system. Okay. But there's 2 planets, isn't there? What's the other planet called? Sinus, yeah, it's Faina. What's Faina again? Faina is the second planet found by FFXIV. FF14, Faina. Sites are useless. What was the official explanation for Faina? 3, soon to be 4. Arcade element charge, one for the big 6, one small hour for a second for the dark. Showing which stars are in time sync. Oh. What if that's it? Think about this for a second, yeah. So, as you're just saying there. So, we've only explored 3 reflections. So, we've explored the 1st, the 9th, and the 13th. So, this would depict the source, the 1st, the 9th, and the 13th. So maybe it's depicting the reflections we've actively explored, but I don't think they'd ever do that. I mean, what's the point of... No, they wouldn't show us a reflection that we haven't explored yet, because this was made before we explored the ninth. So that doesn't make sense. Yeah, ignore that. The way time moves on reflections is not yeah, that's... So, Jamie, that's a point of contention for me. Because the thing is... Yeah, see, that's the thing. Interdimensional fusion happened. Alexandria was brought to the source. And everything within the dome was moving at a much faster rate. So within a few days, 30 years or something passed, or like 20 years or something passed inside the dome until the dome was breached, and then it synced with Aetheris. But apparently, the ninth reflection wasn't moving faster. So we never got an explanation for that. And I think, to be fair, I think they just copped out and just like said, we're not going to answer that question. I have a little speculation. If we're going to go back to the first, we will get an older Reen and Gaia. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind them being more mature. I'd say she'd definitely look a lot like Minfilia in that case. But yeah. I'm going to stick with the opinion that this is our solar system. That's Aetheris, and then the other two planets are our neighbors. So we have other planets in our solar system. But, well, Cosmic Exploration would have probably tried to bring us there. I'm trying to figure out what the hell Faina is, though. Oh, Faina is the 6th astral body within the star system, Ulal 9, and 3 cards from Aetheris. So it's in the different... Okay, so the planets that we visited so far are in two separate star systems. When are the twins going to grow up? They've been... I made the opinion before Endwalker that we should have got a time skip. And I'm still of the opinion that a time skip would be a welcome change to make the story narrative instantly skip over to something fresh and something new. So, for example, like, we have all of these nations and all these lands in various states of repair and disrepair. A time skip would be the equivalent of a Realm Reborn, allowing them to, for example, rebuild Garlamald, properly solidify the government of Alamigo, make proper contact with all the other nations, maybe establish a new... something, the next thing beyond the Eorzean Alliance. Because the Eorzean Alliance, it's still going to be called the Eorzean Alliance, I think. But I think, to be perfectly honest, I think it'll end up being... Hello. I think it'll end up being still the Eorzean Alliance, but they're introducing a lot more friends and members into it. So it's becoming like this world order sort of thing, isn't it? I think they're scared that making the twins adults would make too many people mad and hurt their marketability. I don't think they have that much marketability. To be fair, like, they are marketable, yeah, of course. But the amount of people who actually want adults, Alphino and Alizé, would be welcome, I think, by the player base. Right, what else? Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to go through? Rav, are you standing out here the entire time? What else? What else did I want to go through? Alright, is there anything else I wanted to go through? Is there anything else on this forum I wanted to go through, actually? Let's go back to the main forum real quick. Oh, that's you, Zarmar, okay. Alright, so I put a face in it. Oh, so this is the female Rogadin. Yeah, I can see why you could turn eyes. I'm gonna be honest and ask. You get a lot of people asking why hello there. You don't have to answer, but I'll be frankly curious. I always wonder, like, when people dress up very provocatively with their characters, do they ever get like the FF14 equivalent of a catcall? Do you think we're going into more detail on the Calamity of Ice for the next expansion? Jamie, I hope we do. Primarily because I made a video recently, actually, to that effect. Have a look here. Yeah, there we go.
Calamity. The blind frost of today is a region of eternal.
So, if you haven't seen this video, it's
cold.
Okay, that's that. I was wondering what that was. Yeah, I made this video, The Forgotten Area of Ethereal. I explored the Calamity of Ice, and I'm hoping it does get explored in official lore. But you should check out that video at some point. It's actually pretty good. I enjoyed making that video. It probably depends on the server, I think, whether one gets catcalled. Great, I would agree with that. There's certain servers where you would get... I think it's the fact that I have two musics on, do I? This music's just really just... Ugh. Ah, Final Fantasy VIII. Much better. Much better. Thank you. Alright, is there anything else I wanted to go through? Let's see. Is there anything else on the forum I wanted to go through? Just don't hang out in Limsa. I try not to hang out in Limsa, but just because you said that, I'm going back to Limsa. Follow me. I thought you were going to trade me there for a second, didn't I? I'm a male aura and I have had bad experiences there. Luckily, I'm a Lalafell who's not that attractive, so I don't really get approached like that. Balam Garden as a hub city next expansion, let's go. I mean, I'd like that, to be honest, but to be fair, Eden kind of took the garden appearance from us, didn't it? Right, think with me for a second. If you turned on whatever that mod is called and you looked at this, what are we going to see? You see that person here every day? Oh, it's one of those. I remember seeing those people every once in a while who would stand in the same place and just gaze. I mean, I applaud their creativity because the fact that the moon is shining on their outfit is impressive. I gotta say it's impressive, but I'm wondering, like, I'm assuming they're using a mod. I thought that mod was killed. To be fair, I have no idea. I've never used it before. And I'm gonna assume people still use it, just going around doing their things, you know? I mean, it is Limsa Limsa after all. People dress very provocatively, as you can see. Walking around in their jammies. That's a nice outfit. I like that glamour. It's a good glamour. Although I approve of the night as well. Golden Rogadin was first. I don't remember the Golden Rogadin. I don't know what mod you are talking about, and I'm glad. It's a mod that changes your glamour appearances. It's some sort of glamour mod that allows you to dress your character up in different glamours. It also allows you to put muscles and stuff like that on your character. So you could have your character with like a six-pack, for example. A friend of mine, I think, uses a similar mod for doing elaborate screenshots of like combat and stuff like that. And he makes some amazing screenshots in that regard. But people... like the one Xenos uses. I have no idea what Xenos use, to be honest. I don't watch him. But it's whatever it is, it allows you to change, and you could wear whatever glamour you want. Or you wear glamours that are not in the game. So people will design stuff, but you have to be using the mod. So if you're using the mod, you can see your glamour, and you can see the other glamours of people who are using the mod. So that's how it works, or that's how it did work, I think. So that's why I said, when you come here, you see all these people standing around, but a lot of these people are probably using the mod. So they might look entirely different than what they're looking at right now, which is why I said it's entirely possible this person's using the mod and they might look entirely different. So they might be wearing something completely different than this. Yes, the key thing was to let other people with mods see what you see. Essentially, yeah, that's what it was. But it was used by the RP community a lot. And the ERP community. I'm assuming there is still. I'll guarantee there's still an ERP community, because I'll go here and it'll say ERP or something. So club and bathhouse, 18 plus, yeah, ERP. If it says 18 plus, it usually means that it's yeah, 18 plus. Break the rules, keep the rhythm open. Tiki bar, I don't know what tiki bar is. Saturday sessions. Open now. I don't want to know. Honestly, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. There's so many of them though, look. This is not my scene. I mean, people do what they do. They can do whatever they want. If they're happy with it, that's good on them. But I live in a lore bubble of FF14. I do not want my lore treaded upon, if you get my meaning. It's hard to call it the RP community anymore. It's mainly just clubs with people just listening to a chosen DJ from Twitch in the background and dancing around for a butt. Okay. Yeah, there's a reason that, I've said this before, there's a reason you don't see a lot of this content on YouTube, for example. One, a lot of it's 18 plus. Second, they end up using music that's copyrighted. So they'll play the music system of FF14, like the instrument system, is actually so accurate that if you can perfectly replicate a copyrighted song, and the YouTube algorithm will actually trigger a copyright strike on your channel for it. I used to attend RP events when my channel was very young, and I used to upload them onto my channel. I used to, because my channel started off with 3 things. The first one was lore, the second one was theories, and the third one was player driven events. So I started attending RP events, and they'd be playing custom music there. But my channel nearly got taken down. I got 2 copyright strikes because the music system was just so accurate to the actual songs that my channel actually got copyright strikes. So I took the videos down, and I lived under a rock for the next 6 months, and I have not attended one of these events since. Well, to be fair, I've attended 1 or 2 RP events, like Christmas events and stuff like that. But I don't turn on the sound system, for example. So, as far as I'm aware, I still have it off. Yeah, performance is off. I keep this off because, especially when I'm streaming, copyright strikes. It's so dangerous. I like RP events, but the only ones that stick as close as possible to the lore. If it does break lore, it has to be a damn good reason. Hard to find stuff like that now. Yeah, it appears that just from a preliminary look at this channel, it seems to be like nightclubs, bars, a birthday party, Saturday bash, and most of them are 18 plus. Easter Fight Club, very NSFW, spicy bathhouse. See, it's stuff like this. So there's a lot of it. There obviously is a big community for this sort of stuff. It's just never interested me. I like roleplay. I don't like erotic roleplay. But apparently people do. So I'm just not going to them because you could have most of the answers possible to just say 18 plus just to keep the kids away. Dulan, you're making me want to test this theory now, you know that. Shit. I think just to probably close out the stream, should I visit one of these things? Well, let's try visit a friendly one. Like for example, this does not sound friendly to me. 18 plus pillow talk. That does not sound friendly to me. Dorian Gray, where one magic happens, open now. They just sound dangerous. Open now, Saturday session. Right, I need to pick one. I'll just right. You know what? I'm gonna pick one at random. Right. Eyes are closed. I'm not even looking. I'm going up and down. There's a mess. Mess is off my shit. Okay. Shit. Okay, I picked the worst one I could have picked. I'm a Lala, I can't get in? That's racist, what the hell? I'm going to this, right? I'm going to this, I don't care. Trentania, Lavender, Ward 3, let me copy this. Trentania, Lavender, Ward 3, plot 58. Okay, so Trentania. Right, we're going down the rabbit hole here, folks. I'm only doing this once because I haven't done it. I haven't done it like. It starts in 1900, so it starts in it starts in like that's good then. It means that there's not going to be much going on by the time I get there. I need to go to the lavender back. So, Britannia. Wyrm, what the hell are you doing? Okay. Lavender, Ward 3, plot 58. Pound Town, Jesus Christ. Apparently they have a Twitch stream as well, so this is going to be interesting. I have nothing against these communities, it's not my scene, it doesn't interest me. It's like if somebody asked me to go to a nightclub, I wouldn't go because nightclubs are not my scene. I hate nightclubs. Nightclubs are loud and people are just dancing around out of their heads. It does not interest me at all. Even when I was a kid, I didn't like nightclubs. So it's everybody has their scene. I like quiet and lore and reading. I don't like a nightclub or whatever this is going to be. So people like it, obviously. What ward was it? Ward 3, plot 58. Okay. Ward 3. So it's in the subsection. Because it's almost 9 in the... don't forget the clocks are going forward. So we're going to lose an hour sleep tomorrow, FYI. Where's 58? Oh, it's the big house. Okay. May the 12th forgive me for what I'm about to do. Okay. I am doing this. I would like to say now, I am doing this for science, okay? I am doing this for science. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this so you don't have to. I just hope it's something normal. Please be normal. Just be somebody having RP fun. No craziness. Please, for the love of God, no craziness. Somebody message me. Hey, hey. He slapped me with a pamphlet. The greeter. Looking for Pound Town? It's right in there. So we can't go in. Oh yeah, they asked me to put my weapons away, don't they? Cat GPT. Cat GPT. Some of you unfortunately, I think she got. Hang on. May I enter the premises? I'm doing this for you guys. I hope you know this. You may. These guys aren't going to eat a Lalafell, are they? Alright, I'm going into RP mode. Here we go. I think this is probably the best thing that could have greeted me. A fucking wall. Oh Jesus. No. I don't want to be here. Please. Oh no. 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 I don't want to be here. Can I leave? Can I leave? Can I leave, please? I don't want to be here. Oh Jesus Christ. Fine. Okay, I'm going in. I'm going in. Okay. This is for the sake of lore. Okay? Oh Jesus Christ. No, no, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I mean, would you walk into that? Looks like something out of the fucking Shining. Okay. Which way do I go? Which way do I go? I'm assuming I have to glitch through the wall, right? No? Do I have to enter the private... No. Wait. Here? Excuse me. Alright, hello, fellow nerd. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, let me try jump. So it's up. Oh, what the what? Okay. Alright, let me try. No. Wait, somebody. Oh! Oh! Hang on. Wait, how'd you get up there? Wait, how'd you do that? Jump X marks it. Oh! Oh, wow! Okay. Oh, that's clever. That's clever. Wow. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. It's busy in here. Dang, yeah. They got a lab. They got a... I'm assuming this is a doctor's consultation room. Is this a fight? Is there a fight going on there? Is this an arena? It looks like an arena. Oh, they're having a fight. Okay. Okay, so so this is a fight club. Okay, so it's not provocative at all. Okay. Good. Yeah, because to be fair, when you say Pound Town, it kind of sounds a bit you know. Well, there's Lalfells here as well, so they're not discriminatory. The guy's dead. He's dead. Am I allowed to revive him? I mean, I could revive him right now. Do you think I should? Will they attack me or something if I try to revive him or something, or? What do you mean no? You're all saying no. No to which? No to reviving him, or no that they're not going to attack me? Don't res. Okay. Oh, okay. So they're coming in to get him now. Okay. There's a process. Do not res. Okay, so this is proper RP. Okay. So this is, The soul is still in the building. I made sure to place blocking barriers in case of deaths. This one's actually dead. This one's like actually dead. Oh, okay. So there's a plot playing out. I mean, I'd love to turn on the music, but I know it's going to be copyrighted. Alright, she's going over here. Wait, there was a stream, right? Let's go to the stream real quick and see what he's saying. Maybe there's a dialogue to go with this. Right, let's have a look at this real quick. Let's see what they're saying. Please don't be copyright music.
Now and HBO Max
Seriously with the ads?
are coming together in one app. Two worlds of entertainment side by side.
You know, I think the cosmos brought us together.
HBO
If there's something
Max
here, I'm gonna
is
kill you.
included with now.
Jesus wept. Fucking ears. Fucking A. That was loud. How do you listen to that? So they're listening to this while this is all going on. Jesus Christ. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know how loud that was over the stream. Jeez, that gave me a heart attack. To be fair, I feel like a third wheel here. I think I'm just supposed to stand here and watch, right? Alright, he's up again. Okay. So we got knocked out. I'm assuming he wasn't supposed to be killed. We got DJ over here. Take me for example, when I scoped out clubs, I rarely even tuned into Switch. Yeah, I'm glad I don't tune into Switch anymore, because frick me, my ears are bleeding. I'm in debt. Let me have an explore around here for a second. So you got all these people sitting around watching stuff. People lying down, they're just enjoying the story, I guess. And there he is there, yeah, okay. Well, it's interesting. I'm glad it just wasn't something weird, but the fact that they're blurring music like that on the stream is, Frick me. Okay, I think I've seen enough. Yeah, I think I've seen enough. I think. Honestly, I feel like I shouldn't be here. Because I just feel like I feel like I don't belong here. It's weird. It's like I walked in on somebody's birthday party and I don't even know who they are. Still plenty of blood after you spilled with this pit, folks. Who wants a turn? I'm not going in there. I ain't going in there. I better refrain. Yeah, so they're all in roleplay mode. So, yeah, this is good. I like this. So this reminds me of the old school OP. Roleplay. So they're all enjoying themselves. They're having these pit fights. It's good. Very loud music aside. They told me they want to bite some ankles. Right, there's nothing really happening here, and I'm not going to stay here all day, so I'll come back to this at a different time. I'm assuming I'm supposed to jump down here, right? There we go. Okay. Well, that was interesting. I need to think of another topic to talk about so we can finish off. Let me get off to Tanya first. Right, do we have a lore topic? Like, does somebody have a lore question that we want to talk about? Because I've pretty much talked about... I've talked about every job under the sun now at this point, I think, Tomer. Right, go home. There's not many other jobs I can think of, to be perfectly honest. Why has nobody tried to steal Mirgar Somer's eyes? Honestly, that's a fair question. I'm assuming they all think he's dead. His body is kind of semi-fossilized at the moment. I mean, we do know, like from the future timeline, we do know that his body comes out of his, let's call it his coma. He comes out of his coma in about 2 centuries' time. Why nobody steals his eyes? I'm assuming his power is not in his eyes. You know that? I'm assuming Mirgar Stormer is a bit different. What do you think will become of grand companies that we are a part of? In my case, the soldiers under my command and have ranked as far as I can go. Yeah, that's a weird thing. Let's talk about that real quick. So let's discuss that real quick. The grand company system is weird. The grand company system was essentially abandoned after A Realm Reborn. It was abandoned halfway during A Realm Reborn, to be honest. This system has not changed since 2.0 or 2.3. Now, from a lore perspective, the grand companies are all members. So the grand companies all look after their own individual city-states, but they're all members of the Eorzean Alliance. So... or not the... they're all members of the Grand Company of Eorzea, sorry. So, the Grand Companies at the moment, from a lore perspective, are busy not only defending their own current city-states, like the Maelstrom's doing right now, but they're also assigned to the Grand Company of Eorzea, which is now assigned to look after Eorzea's issues. So that is essentially the plot point of... we no longer need to concern ourselves with the issues of Eorzea. That is all now to do with the Grand Company of Eorzea, which is why it was formed in the first place. The Eorzea is no longer the Scion's problem, and it's no longer our problem. The Grand Company can look after things with Eorzea from now on, which freed us up to start exploring the likes of Tural, for example. In terms of upgrading the system, I've been saying for years that the system is in dire need of an upgrade, primarily because, yeah, as you said, our ranks do not change. The loot system rarely changes. I think it changed in 4.0, but other than that, it does not change. So it's in dire need of a makeover, I can say that. A way to somehow revisit Rejoined Reflections, a bit of a stretch. We can't. Rejoined Reflections don't exist anymore. Rejoined Reflections, as far as we're aware, got transformed into pure etheric energy, but parts of the reflections themselves do rejoin with the source, so certain buildings or landscapes might appear on the source, for example. It does alter the architecture of the source. I love that glamour. Excellent glamour. Can go back in time to them like Graha did. That's a fair point. If you think about it for a second, if you go back in time, you can explore the other reflections that have died off. But the issue is, us going back in time would cause the timeline to split again. If we started interfering with another reflection, even traveling to it, we would be interfering with that reflection and evacuate everybody. It would fundamentally alter our own world, though. It's like, it's the same paradox that applies to our own world. If you travel back to... If you travel back to, say, for example... What's a good example? You travel back and you stop the Titanic from hitting the iceberg. You will fundamentally alter the future if you do that. That's an example. So if we do anything on that reflection, it would fundamentally alter our present. If that reflection doesn't rejoin, the Ascians might try to rejoin a different reflection. We may end up doing a different reflection entirely because we prevented the rejoining of an entirely different one, which would lead to an entirely different future than what we are currently living in, or an entirely different present rather. It's too messy. I don't think they're brave enough to do that. To be fair, they've already kind of gone way over the limit in terms of time travel with 14 already, and it's already messy as is. They really shouldn't interfere with it anymore. I'm worried. Hang on. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible we might need a new Zodiac and a new Highland to restore stability to the source and the shards? For example, Gaia and Reen as oracles of darkness and light. So that's very, very plausible. Primarily because now the Highland is gone, I do have a feeling that the source is now lost without its... well, now that Zodiac is gone, rather. So Zodiac is gone. He was the original Will of the Star. He's gone. Hydaelyn was maintaining that position. Now she's gone. Now the Star doesn't have a will. So it's entirely possible we have to resummon Hydaelyn again. You never know. Now we know her soul is gone. She says her soul, not even her soul is going to remain anymore. But primals are interesting things. She is a primal in the end. Like, the soul of Vana is gone. The essence of Hydaelyn? Perhaps we can summon that. It's literally, we'd be summoning Hydaelyn without her heart. Essentially. So don't forget, Vana was the heart of Hydaelyn. So Vana is gone. Her soul is gone. Hydaelyn is a primal. She didn't have a soul. So we could resummon Hydaelyn just without Vana's heart. It's entirely possible somebody else will have to become the heart of Hydaelyn. So that could be an interesting story. It could be Reen. You never know. Like, Reen has that connection to Hydaelyn. So Reen becoming the new heart of Hydaelyn, or perhaps we'd even summon Zodiac again as well, and Gaia could become the heart of Zodiac. Very plausible. Let the planets rejoin, get the people off. It would just cause too much issues. Because then again, we'd lose soul density because those souls didn't rejoin the source. It would cause too many issues. Use the crystal tower and chuck some spare Elizabeths lying around as fuel. Oh god. If I travel... Well, to be fair, the crystal tower on the first doesn't have time travel anymore. We destroyed that. We destroyed the Alexander machine inside. So the first tower can't really time travel anymore. The only reason Elizabeth could do it is he unlocked the ability to use that magic. And he was an Ascian in the end. The Star didn't have a will in the beginning. Something less... Hang on, let me go. I'm skipping over people, sorry. Was the 13th not rejoined? The 13th was not rejoined, no. Jamie, the 13th fell to darkness. They attempted to rejoin it. It was their first attempt to rejoin a reflection. But they pushed it too far to darkness and became the void, and it became, apparently, for some reason, unsuitable for rejoining. So until the 13th is properly rebalanced, it may be under threat of rejoining, but for right now, as the void, it's not suitable to rejoin to the source for whatever reason. We don't know why. They never answered the question. Yeah, that was Igyorum's fault. Igyorum pushed the star too hard, and the Ascians learned their lesson. So that way, they started pushing stars more slowly towards a certain elemental affinity. But the other reason for the 13th fall, so reflection joining 101, right? In order to rejoin a reflection, you have to do two things. The first is... I think that music is too high. Sorry. 1 second. So, in order to rejoin a reflection, you have to push the elemental... You have to go to a reflection first, right? So, say this... I don't know. We'll take any reflection, right? So, take the 7th, for example. So, in order to rejoin the 7th reflection to the source, you have to push that reflection towards a particular elemental aspect, because all the reflections are in balance by default. In order to rejoin a reflection, you have to push this elemental alignment to a particular element. In the case of the 7th, it was Umbral Darkness, I think. Then you trigger a calamity on the source of that same element, which opens a breach in the barrier that's surrounding the source, and then immediately, because those two elements are aligned, the reflection turns into Aether and gets sucked into the source and rejoins to the source. Now, what happened with the 13th reflection? The 13th reflection was their first attempt to rejoin a reflection. However, they didn't understand the full mechanics behind it. So this was their early days and their first attempt to do this. So they saw that there was a connection between source and reflections. So they decided, okay, what if we push the elemental aspect of the 13th towards darkness? Maybe it will rejoin. So they pushed the elemental alignment of the 13th reflection to darkness. However, they didn't trigger a calamity on the source to open the etheric barrier around the source. So when they pushed the elemental alignment of their 13 reflections to darkness, that element of darkness had nowhere to go. So it couldn't rejoin to the source because of the etheric barrier, so it festered on that world. And as a result, that world festered, it lost control, and it turned into the void. That's how the void was created. And that was how the Ascians learned their modus operandi of, yeah, we have to push the elemental alignment of a reflection to an element, but we have to trigger the same sort of calamity element on the source in order for them to rejoin together. So that's the mistake they learned with the 13th. So the 13th, theoretically, and this is theoretically on my point, the 13th reflection, being heavily aspected to darkness, and I think it's astral darkness that it's aspected to, if a powerful calamity of astral darkness is triggered on the source, then the 13th reflection could theoretically still rejoin to the source. But it still requires a calamity event of that same element to be triggered on the source. It would have to be something very particular. So for example, with the other reflections that rejoined, like the calamity of Earth, one of the reflections was heavily aspected to Earth. A calamity of Earth was triggered with the massive earthquakes underneath the Crystal Tower, which caused a calamity on the source, opened the barrier. That calamity sucked in that reflection. So hopefully that explains it. I made another video on reflections and how they work as well, so I'd highly recommend looking at that as well. To be fair, most of the topics that are actually coming up I've actually made videos on, so I'd recommend checking out my channel for that, in that regard. Now, anything else? Zodiac was the will of the star, not Hydaelyn. You're correct, Ulhim. Zodiac was the will of the star, and he's dead. So, but Hydaelyn took on the mantle of the will of the star, but she wasn't the actual will. That's why you have to remember Halmroth's comments about the echoes left by the will of the star. Most people made the mistake of thinking, oh, they're talking about Hydaelyn. They weren't. They were talking about Zodiac, because Zodiac was the will of the star. So you have to remember that as well about Halmroth's words, specifically. Something that's less of a stretch. With Yoshi P heavily implying the theme of water in 8.0, do you think we could see some FF10 inspiration for future content? It's entirely possible. Considering he's saying there is a theme of water, there's only one, like, assuming we go with the expansion having a theme based on one of the other games, the only other game that really makes sense from a water aspect is definitely Final Fantasy X. So it could be that. Oh, sorry, Max. Sorry to hear that. But didn't this go just about now? Do you think instead of restoring Highland or Zodiac, could Midgard Stormer take up the mantle? Could Midgard Stormer take up the mantle? Well, to be fair, Midgard Stormer does have a... Midgard Stormer is a powerful being. Let's put that straight. He is a very powerful being. He also does have the ability to manipulate our Blessing of Light. We saw him do it at the end of A Realm Reborn. Could he take up the mantle? Yes. It could be interesting as well. It could introduce a character who is on that power level. So he's the only real piece on the board that's a neutral person who is on the power level of an Elder Primal. Not at the moment. He's severely underpowered at the moment because he used all his energy up, but we could restore him to some way. Entirely plausible. But yeah, he could be that. Is there a way we could use the excess of Light Aether in the first to recover the 13th? We already started that process at the end of Endwalker. So if you remember, we channeled a massive amount of light aspected Aether onto the 13th Reflection in order to breach the dome around Zeromus. But that light aspected Aether didn't just disappear. It's rejoined with the environment of the 13th Reflection on the moon. So we actually helped start pushing the 13th back towards equilibrium. And that work is still ongoing. But the primary theory, as you said, is the 13th and the first reflections are both the keys to each other's salvation. Because they're polar opposite elements, they could actually restore each other's elemental balance. For example, for example, the 13th has too much darkness. The first is well on its way to equilibrium, but it's still heavily flooded with light. So by doing a transfer between the two of them, forcing light aspected Aether onto the 13th, while simultaneously forcing darkness aspected Aether to the first, they would actually both restore equilibrium to themselves by doing that. By swapping elements like that. And we have seen we do have the ability of transferring etheric energy between two reflections like that. We did it in 6.5. Let's see. Hydaelyn was just keeping Zodiac in check, nothing more. Vana had delusions of godhood as bad as Athena. She wasn't that bad, to be honest. She had to keep him jailed for a reason. So she wasn't keeping Zodiac in check more than she was keeping him alive for a purpose. So Zodiac was the one. Like, let's go back to Zodiac summoning, for example. They summoned Zodiac in the ancient past, right? Because the Song of Oblivion was destroying Aetheris. It was causing their creation magic to go haywire. Now, they summoned Zodiac because they didn't fully understand why it was happening. They summoned Zodiac and they said, Zodiac, please, we'll give up half of our population. Please put an end to whatever's causing this. Now, Zodiac took one look at the situation, and he's like, okay, I'm looking around. There's something coming from beyond the star. Like, as powerful as I am, I don't have the ability to stretch across the entire universe to stop whatever the hell is doing this. So Zodiac did the only thing he was capable of doing in order to keep Aetheris safe, in that he created the massive etheric barrier that surrounded the entirety of Aetheris. Now, even after Zodiac's defeat, Zodiac wasn't banished or destroyed or anything else, because Hydaelyn knew too well, if she destroyed Zodiac, which she was capable of doing, the barrier would have went with him and the Song of Oblivion would have started again. Because she knew exactly what the song was at that point. She knew it was coming from Meteion, from beyond the stars, but they had no way of stopping her. She was at the end of the universe. They didn't have the ability to get there. So she did the only thing she could do. She sundered Zodiac, kept him alive, sealed him away, and ensured that the etheric barrier would always remain. That's the only reason that she kept him locked up. And the moment Fandaniel destroyed his heart, or his core form, Zodiac died, and the barrier went with him. And then the Song of Oblivion got through to Aetheris, and the final days kicked off all over again. Let's see. In the Endwalker post quests, we already set this up. Yeah. Too bad Unkal and Silver are so quest locked, role quest locked, then meeting Zero would be wild. Yeah, to be fair, they all know about each other already. So if you remember at the end of 6.5, there was a option for us to mention Unakalhai and Silva. So we did mention them to Zero. So technically there was a crossing, but it still requires you to do those side quests in order to learn them. So yeah, it's still an issue. It's still a thorn. I don't think they thought that through, to be perfectly honest. They're both locked in limbo right now, and they need to get out of it. So they need to make a bridge to the main story again by either making those quests mandatory for the main story, or just bringing them into the main story in a different way and introducing them again as who they are. I say the latter is probably the easier one. I don't remember the post. I think the Ethereal Sea for the reflection gets tainted, there is no fixing it. I think when the Ethereal Sea of the reflection gets tainted, there's no fixing it. What do you mean tainted? I don't know what you mean by tainted. I mean, the Ethereal Sea is capable of being destroyed. I mean, we saw Athena try to do that. She tried to trigger ultimate within the Ethereal Sea. It would have destroyed the Ethereal Sea. That says a lot though, doesn't it? The fact that you can use a spell like ultimate to destroy the Ethereal Sea. Now granted, ultimate is a powerful spell, but ultimate is also a spell that does not come from our world. Ultimate is a spell that comes from another world or another dimension. Because she learned it from the Heart of Sabik, and the Heart of Sabik came from beyond our star. So it's entirely plausible, because the spell is foreign to our world and our dimension, it's probably poisonous to our world, you never know. I can see one of the story themes being guiding the dead to the Ethereal Sea because it lost its balance in the other stars, just like how Unit did it. That's a good point, Max. Well, to be fair, like, even before Zodiac was summoned, the Underworld still existed, so the ability to go to the Ethereal Sea was a default even before Zodiac and Hydaelyn were a thing. So that system should still be the default. It's entirely possible it was broken with the loss of Zodiac and Hydaelyn and we had to fix it. So that could be a reason for us to do something in 8.0. If the Ethereal Sea became dark aspect of the 13th. See, the thing with the Ethereal Sea, the reflections are all connected by the Ethereal Sea, but because the 13th fell so far to darkness, it was actually cut off from the Ethereal Sea. That's why the Voidsent can't die, because their Aether can't pass into the Ethereal Sea when they die. That's why they keep reviving themselves on the 13th. That's why when they come to Aetheris, and a Voidsent dies on Aetheris, their soul will pass into the Ethereal Sea. And that Heart of Sabik is just in the hands of some random researcher. Yeah. Unfortunately, Claudine is doomed. We left him with plutonium, and nobody can hold on to plutonium without dying. So, unfortunately, Claudine is dead, I think. Well, he's not dead, but he's going to go nuts. And I think he's going to try and take the world with him. Similar to what Athena did. And he's trapped in side quest hell, unfortunately, as well. Yeah. Maybe Zodiac was a universal shield, and now the etheric density of Aetheris is still not up to par. Ultima would be more aggressive, and High, Seraph, and Sabik are just a probe. Yeah, Lunatic, I agree with you. I made a video a long time ago, not a long time ago, about a year ago, that Ultima, the High Seraph, and the Heart of Sabik are actually connected. So, for example, the Heart of Sabik is essentially Orosite, right? Now, the only other being we've seen really create Orosite of that variety is Ultima, the High Seraph. We can create artificial Orosite, but that's a different kind of substance based upon the quote-unquote natural source that we've seen. Now, we've seen multiple special pieces of Orsite created by Ultima herself, and we actually saw her in real time actually creating Orsite. So the theory goes, and the theory is very, very plausible and most likely, that a being of interdimensional nature, or extra-dimensional nature rather, similar to Ultima, was the one that created the Heart of Sabik. So, and more than likely, it's called the Heart of Sabik. So there's more than likely a being very similar to Ultima the High Seraph, whose name is actually Sabik, who is out there, and she's going to be our next antagonist. You should watch my video about it. I go through the full theory on that one. By the way, I think this was the devs' writer's way to have it hands without needing the players to do the pandemonium. True. Doesn't each reflection have its own ethereal sea? That's what we thought, Dulan. We thought every reflection had its own ethereal sea, but we learned in Endwalker there's actually only one ethereal sea. Sorry. The ethereal sea actually has a much wider scale than we ever thought possible. The ethereal sea exists on Aetheris, but it also branches into the other reflections, and then it extends across the stars, because remember how we summoned the souls of Emmet Selk and Hypnodeus to Ultima Thule? We summoned them out of the ethereal sea via the link there in order to summon them there. So the ethereal sea actually extends across the entire universe. It's like an underplane. But what's the best way to describe it? I described it a particular way a few years ago. So think of the ethereal sea on Aetheris as a lake or a sea or an ocean. No, sorry. Think of like the ethereal sea on Aetheris and the reflections as ponds or lakes. And those lakes are connected via rivers to seas and oceans, which is the rest of the universe. So that's what our ethereal sea is. It's actually just a pond that has entry into an entire vast universal spanning ethereal sea. We just call it the ethereal sea, but it actually extends across the entire universe. But we only really see what's in our pond, if you get my meaning. In my head, the formation of reflections never made sense, but because there are other dimensions and frequencies of Aether that hide other worlds. Yeah, that's the thing. So, when it comes to reflections, they never explained how the reflections work. So, there's two prevailing theories in regards to how the reflections work. Now, you may be familiar with... I'll show you the map now, hang on. Right, I'm going to finish the stream now in a few minutes because my mouth is getting very dry. But I'll go through this real quick. So, let me show you this. Yep. So, this is the chart of reflections that we're all familiar with, right? So this is how the reflections are usually depicted in-game and through artwork and stuff like that. But it's only depicted like this primarily for our ease of viewing. So it's showing us that there's the source and 13 reflections around it. It doesn't mean that they're actually orbiting like that. So it doesn't mean there's like the source and then 13 reflections orbiting around it. Rather, the source and the 13 reflections all occupy the same location in space, but they're all dimensionally separate. So, we saw the result of this firsthand, for example. So, for example, when Zodiac was gone and the final days kicked off because the Song of Oblivion started bombarding Aetheris, we went to the other reflections like the first, and we noticed that the Song of Oblivion didn't affect them. So it was only hitting our dimension. So it looks like the source and the other reflections are all dimensionally separate. So these reflections are all occupying different dimensionals, or they're in dimensional barriers. that they technically are and are not affected by our own dimensions, if you get my meaning. So that's what happens when a reflection joins. The reflection and the source occupy the same location, but then when a reflection's rejoining and the barrier around Aetheris is breached, the Aether just kind of floods into Aetheris instantly, and the ball just gets more dense as a result. But they occupy the same location in space, and they're all dimensionally separate. If you're familiar with DC Comics, it's the multiverse theory. All the planets occupy the same location in space, but they're all dimensionally separate. It's the same for reflections on Final Fantasy XIV. Doesn't work though. What stops 114 Shard of Azam ending up on the source same time as current Warrior of Light? The thing is, well, we've already seen that Duelan. We've already seen Ardbert come to the source, but he came by choice. So he was a Azam Shard residing on the first reflection until he came to the source to combat us, and then he went back to the first as a soul. Now, you have to remember, when a reflection rejoins... Yeah, but don't forget, those worlds are occupying their own individual pool. So they're all connected, but it doesn't mean the souls are going to start crossing from one pool to the other. They'll stay in the same pool of their own planet and rebirth there. But we have a prevailing theory that Hydaelyn was actually managing that as well. Because in the end, Hydaelyn was the one who created these reflections in the first place. So she might have been managing the Ethereal Sea connections between them. And that is a prevailing theory about why everything's now starting to go a bit haywire. Because Hydaelyn is no longer there to manage these Ethereal Sea connections with the reflections. Because the reflections are not natural. So the Ethereal Sea is a natural phenomenon. But what Hydaelyn did by sundering the source into 13 reflections, she sunders everything, don't forget. So more than likely, she sundered the Ethereal Sea of Aetheris into 13 reflections as well. But it may not line up properly with natural balance and the way nature is supposed to work. So Hydaelyn likely managed those connections herself. And now that she's gone, the keeper of balance, she's gone. So now everything's starting to fall apart. That's probably why the reflections are dying. It's possible their Ethereal Sea connections are starting to die off as well. So all the more the Ethereal Sea will run downhill at the source and the shard will stop being able to rebirth new life. Possibly. It's entirely plausible. Like, to the best of our knowledge, Hydaelyn was managing that entire thing because in the end the reflections were her creation. She's not doing that anymore. She can't. She's gone. So that could be our reason for everything starting to go to hell. And nothing like it was done before, so she couldn't do all the complications or absence. Yeah, exactly. So that's essentially what it is. I want the theory from Jesse Cox. He said the shards of Azam will build the Azamgers to stop one of the Warrior of Light going crazy and destroy the universe. To be fair, we've already had an evil version of ourselves. We've already gone down that path already. I mean, it's entirely possible there is another one out there. Not likely though, it feels like a repeat of Shadowbringers. Or the end of Stormblood at least. Or the end of Heaven's Ward, sorry. But, what was I going to say? I was going to say something. There's still the prevailing theory about all of Azam's incarnations now. So, I'm a firm believer and proponent of the theory that the FF14 story will end by us, aka the Warrior of Light of the Source, one day becoming Azam and travelling back in time to become Azam in the past. That's how we're so knowledgeable about everything, and that's why we didn't side with Hydaelyn directly or anything else, and she probably understood this as well. And then we end up doing everything that Azam did in the past as a member of the convocation and yada yada yada. And it's a self-fulfilling timeline prophecy, essentially. Well, maybe one of them is a bit more controlling and thinks we need to force to be rejoined and the others to be stronger in order to defeat a big threat. Plausible. I mean, there was some theories saying that Calyx was probably one of our shards. But his soul is gone now. So, he's just memory now. He doesn't have a soul anymore. It's entirely possible his soul could be taken out of the Ethereal Sea and given back to him, though. Although, see, that's the weird thing. They kind of screwed up their own... The soul would have reincarnated. See, that's the thing. So, let's take a theory, for example, right? Let's say Calyx, when he was alive, was one of Azam's incarnations, right? He turned himself into an Endless, which requires his soul is either broken down or thrown into the Ethereal Sea or recycled or whatever. And his memory lives on inside Electrope, right? His soul goes into the Ethereal Sea, and the soul is all that's required. So usually when your memory and your soul go into the Ethereal Sea, they're separated. Your memory kind of disperses into the Ethereal Sea. Your soul will also disperse into the Ethereal Sea with the option of reincarnating. Only certain people reincarnate. Now, not everybody reincarnates. Not every soul reincarnates. Certain souls do. Our soul does. So it's entirely possible Calyx's soul is already reincarnated or attempted to reincarnate at some point. And it could be a different person entirely. One of his descendants, or, well, he didn't have descendants, but somebody else could have reincarnated with his soul. But his memory is still living on the Ninth Reflection. As I'm not siding with anyone to leave the same room and pay integrity. Yeah, see, the thing with souls and reincarnations, it's a weird thing. So, the prevailing theory regarding reincarnation of souls, the prevailing theory, for example, is anybody with the Echo or a similar ability is a reincarnated soul. Because their soul can directly tie back a lineage to an ancient, for example. But the souls of most of the other people on Aetheris are souls of the lesser races that were sundered. For example, the newly born races. Think about it. There wasn't many ancients left by the time the sundering happened. There was not that many ancients left. So only the ancient souls reincarnated, like Azam's soul. He was an ancient, he got sundered. All those ancients got sundered, the ones that were left got sundered. And their souls dispersed into the other reflections and they reincarnate. That's why the convocation members reincarnated, because they were souls of ancients that reincarnated. That's why their reincarnations appeared on the other reflections. But the prevailing theory is the Echo is directly tied to whether or not your soul is tied to it actually being an ancient. So that's why people think only some people have the Echo, because their souls used to be ancients. But not everybody's soul was an ancient. Soul would need to be alive when sundered to get... yeah, exactly. Most of the ancients were inside Zodiac. Now, they're out now. So they all got dispersed, and they're in the Ethereal Sea. Chances of them reincarnating now is definitely possible. But don't forget, they're going to be children. So they're going to be, like... It's literally now only babies being born are more ancients being born. So it's entirely plausible. If we do a time skip, for example, say 10 years or 20 years. Eorzea, for example, could be populated by a lot more people who have the Echo. For example. For that reason, because they're reincarnated souls of the ancients. And we don't know how long the reincarnation process takes exactly. And there's also a prevailing theory that reincarnation was directly tied to Hydaelyn. See, that's the thing. We do not know whether reincarnation was a thing. in ancient Aetheris. Their view of death was, yeah, they were near immortal essentially, so reincarnation wasn't really a concern for them because they lived forever essentially. So they lived on, and then when they were done, they returned to the star voluntarily. Doesn't sound like something somebody who would want to reincarnate would want to do. So essentially, the prevailing theory is reincarnation was never a thing until Hydaelyn came around. And maybe reincarnation is now no longer a thing. It's a theory, it's a wild theory, but it's a theory nonetheless. We need some ancient souls in Solution 9. It's entirely possible they're there as well, because don't forget, a lot of ancients got sundered onto the reflections as well, so it's entirely plausible that there's certain people, like for example, don't forget, Hildebrand. Hildebrand has a version of himself on the Ninth Reflection, who is now living in Alexandria. So that means Hildebrand, aside from the fact that he somehow qualifies as a warrior of light, is likely the reincarnation of a certain ancient who is nameless. That's why you see people who have an identical version on other reflections, like Hildebrand, because they're souls of ancients. So that's why they all look alike. That's why we have reincarnations on all the other reflections. They don't look like us, they can change races and stuff like that, but that's mainly due to the player perspective. Otherwise, they'd usually probably be the same race. But didn't the Hitler wishing our reunion in the future contradict that? Yeah, but that was probably him just like, maybe one day we'll meet in the future. Like, I don't think he knew what was going to happen. The guy just spent millennia stuck inside Zodiac. I don't think he knew what to say. Like the train dudes in the Western Town. Exactly, yeah. And Geralt, exactly. Geralt is another example. So, if you can see anybody who has an almost identical version of themselves on another reflection, that means they're a reincarnated ancient, or a shard of a reincarnated ancient, similar to how we are a denser shard of a reincarnated ancient. Because don't forget, that was the Ascians' main goal in the end. They wanted to rejoin these soul reflections, or these reflections to each other, not only because they wanted to reform the world that they originally had, but they wanted to reform the remaining ancients that were still in existence, their souls, like us. If they succeeded in rejoining every reflection, we would have been a reborn ancient, because we would have had all 13 shards of ourselves, or 14 shards of ourselves, joined together. Once all 14 are together, you are an ancient of Aetheris. That was the Ascians' second goal. Aside from rejoining the world, they wanted to restore what people remained who weren't part of Zodiac, and they would have sacrificed everybody else in order to get the souls back from Zodiac. That was their master plan. And we saw 2 reflections of Geralt. Yeah, we did. We saw one reflection on the first, and another reflection on the 9th, which is now in Alexandria. So that's prime examples of people who were ancients at one point. But anyway, I think I'm done now because it's approaching 10 o'clock. I am starving and I need to go to bed as well, because I'm going to get 1 hour's less sleep, because the moment it's going to turn 12 o'clock, clocks are going to go forward, and it's going to instantly turn into 1 o'clock. So, yeah, everybody, I appreciate it. I've had a good time with this one now, to be honest. We went through a lot of things. We answered a lot of questions. We explored roleplay boundaries that luckily did not escalate, although it came close, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, yeah, I'm just tired now. I've been talking for like 3.5 hours now, so I'm just like, oh god, okay. Yeah, it was fun to discuss theories. See, this is literally all we have now until FanFest. We're just all waiting on bated breath until FanFest. And FanFest is what? What's the date of FanFest again? NA FanFest date. April 24th, yeah, okay. So, in less than a month, we're going to learn a little bit about the next expansion. At the very least, we're going to get the expansion's name and a very basic premise. I'm not going to spoil the story too much because 7.5 is still on the way. And 7.5 has a part 2 as well, don't forget. But my personal prediction is 7.5 part 1 will get all of the suspenseful and crazy stuff out of the way in terms of the story. And 7.5 part 2 will just continue upon that. So the main spoilers of the story that we need to worry about are 7.5 part 1 in my opinion. So we don't have to wait long until that. I'm looking forward to FanFest now, to be honest. But I'm concerned with the lengthening content routes. To be fair, Jamie, you're not the only person who feels that way. Most of the player base feels that way at the moment. A lot of people feel that the content is actually dragging out a lot more than it should. Like, the content used to come very quickly, and then they extended it in Heaven's Ward, I think it was, and then they extended it again, and now it looks like they've extended it again. So we're going longer and longer without main patches, and it's kind of jarring from a lore perspective as well. Like, you're doing this story, then you have to wait like 4.5 to 5 months, and then you do the next part of that story, where from a narrative perspective of the story, literally only like a few minutes have passed. It's really jarring, but that's just the nature of MMOs in the end, to be honest. It would be different if the story narrative moved forward in a proper timeline like other MMOs, but FF14's, the timeline moves very slowly. Like, for us, it's been over like what, 12, 13, 14 years, I don't know. However long it's been, but from a story narrative perspective, I think it's only like what, 3-4 years, if that. It's not that long from an actual story perspective. Yeah, it's a very short time. That's why nobody appears to have aged. So that's why people really want the time skip to make things make more kind of sense. But anyway, I'll talk about that in my next stream, I think. But for right now, I'm thinking about my next video at the moment. I'm actually scripting at the moment. To be fair, it's becoming harder for me to make lore videos these days. Primarily because when it comes to me making a lore video, I will only make the lore video if I have something substantial to add to it that the game hasn't covered. The issue is, however, the topics that have been coming up in lore lately, as far as just lore, not lore theory or anything else, they're covered pretty well in game, and there's nothing for me to add. So that's why I've been doing a lot of older lore content, because there's stuff to add because it's not covered in game anymore. So I'm working on that at the moment, but it is difficult. That's why I'm doing a lot of theory videos now at the moment. And to be fair, most of you seem to prefer the theory videos in regards to lore. So I've been having fun with that as well. Like, most of the stuff we've been doing here is theory, which is great. I love it. But it is difficult to actually make a proper lore video because I don't want to just repeat. That's the one thing I don't do with my videos. I don't repeat, like, I'm going to tell you the story of Limsa Lamitsa. We already know the story of Limsa Lamitsa because it's told in game very well. So unless I have something substantial to add to that, I wouldn't make the video. And that's my modus operandi when it comes to making lore videos. So unless I have something substantial to add, I don't make the video. And with the last two subjects I was trying to make videos on, I noticed I can't add anything because all the lore is already added. So that's why I don't usually make lore content about newer topics, because the lore is still being generated. Yeah, I might think about doing something like on the Crescent, but with the Crescents coming in 7.5 as well, I might hold off on that because everything's about to change. Who the hell is Hubert? What? Who the hell is Hubert the Lumberjack? Oh, this guy. Okay, sorry, I couldn't remember that name. Yeah, he's a random guy. What made you bring him up? I mean, I remember him. He had a part in 1.0 and a bit in 2.0, but then you don't really hear about him. I mean, I might do stuff like that. Might think about that. Yeah, the post-smoke. Oh, I missed the post-smoke request. You know, that was a fun time. People enjoyed the post-smoke requests. But yeah, I'll have a think about it and I'll see what I can do. But for now, it's mainly me holding my breath until FanFest, because I know the moment FanFest comes, I'm gonna kick right into theory mode again, because I'll have a million theory videos to make when we have the new plot. Because once we have the new plot, I can start making a million theory videos and having a dozen theory streams like right now, going over everything. Because the moment we have that piece, the moment we know exactly where we're going, I don't even have to know why we're going there. I can speculate about that. But the moment I know where, that's when we can really begin. But anyway, everybody go and have a good night. I'm going to go to bed in a few minutes. So, have a good one. I'll probably do another stream in about a week or so. Or maybe even closer to FanFest. I'm not really sure. But, yeah, I'll keep everybody posted. But otherwise, everybody have a good night. I completed most of my 2 Realm Reborn books while listening to this. See, that's multitasking. I like that. That's a good way of doing it. I wish I could do my relics while doing my live stream, but unfortunately I get a bit too busy. Look at my relic is still just sitting there. Is what it is. Anyway, good night, people.